The first thing I noticed was not that my wife's chair was gone. It was that somebody had vacuumed beneath it. A clean, pale rectangle showed on the hardwood beside the living room window, the one place our old rug never quite reached. In that rectangle stood a black desk wide enough to land a small airplane on. Two monitors glowed above a keyboard. A whiteboard leaned against the wall, where Marianne kept a basket of crossword books. In front of the maple tree, she liked to watch every morning. A circular light shone around my son Colin's face, like he was appearing before Congress. He looked up from one of the screens. His eyes widened, but he kept smiling for whoever was on the call. "Dad," he whispered, pressing one finger to his lips. I had been home 43 seconds. I set down my suitcase. Behind Colin, on the monitor, 6 people occupied 6 little squares. One of them was talking about regional deliverables. Whatever those were, they apparently required my wife's chair to vanish. Colin pointed toward the kitchen and mouthed, "5 minutes." I pointed at the empty patch beside his desk and mouthed, "Where?" He turned back to the screen. That was when I saw the scrape marks on the floor. They ran from the pale rectangle to the front edge of the rug, 2 faint white lines made by something heavy being dragged instead of lifted. Marianne's green wingback had small brass wheels in front, but the back legs were wood. One of those legs always caught if you moved the chair without tilting it. Somebody had known that and dragged it anyway. I walked into the kitchen. Marianne stood at the counter cutting a lemon into slices so thin I could see the knife through them. She wore the blue cardigan she kept on the back of her chair, or had kept there. "You're early," she said. "Flight landed early. I thought you weren't in until 4. It is 4. She glanced at the microwave clock. It said 3:17 because Marianne had never reset it after a power outage. Her face tightened as though the microwave and I had conspired against her. "How's your brother?" Still convinced knee surgery is something the surgeon did to inconvenience him personally. That sounds like Paul. He made me move his recliner 6 inches closer to the television, then 6 inches back. "Well, at least you've stayed in practice." She pushed the lemon slices into a pitcher. I watched her do it. She watched me watch her. "Where's your chair, Mare?" She opened the refrigerator. "Do you want iced tea?" "Where's your chair?" Colin needed a better setup. For what? She looked toward the living room, though Colin could not have heard us over his headset. "Work." I waited. 38 years of marriage had taught me that silence was useful in small doses and dangerous in large ones. I usually got nervous around the 8-second mark and said something practical. Marianne knew that. She closed the refrigerator and leaned against it. "It's in the garage." "Why?" "I just told you." "No, you told me why his desk is by the window." "It's the same answer. It isn't to me." She sighed, but not at Colin. At me. That bothered me more than the chair being gone. "Please don't come in here and make this into a thing. I didn't make it into anything. I've been in Ohio, Pennsylvania. Paul lives 12 minutes from Ohio. Close enough?" That almost got a smile. Almost. From the living room, Colin's voice rose into the polished tone he had used since his first management job. "Absolutely, Nina. I think the opportunity here is alignment." Marianne and I both looked at the doorway. I said, "He aligned your chair with the lawnmower. Ray, I'm just trying to understand the opportunity." This time she did smile, but only for half a second. Then she picked up the knife and cut a lemon that did not need cutting. Colin had been living with us for 4 months. Originally, it was 6 weeks. 6 weeks was what he had said at our kitchen table, while rubbing both hands over his face and trying not to cry. He and Elena had separated after 14 years of marriage. He called it taking space. Elena called it the last thing she knew how to try. I did not ask which description was more accurate because, at the time, my son looked like a man whose ribs had been removed. His old bedroom had become a guest room years ago, but Marianne washed the sheets twice before he arrived. She put a vase on the dresser, then removed it because she thought flowers might look too cheerful. Colin came through the door with 3 suitcases, 2 computer bags, and the stunned courtesy people carry into hospital waiting rooms. For the first week, he thanked us for everything. For the second week, he apologized for everything. By the third, he started asking if we could buy different coffee. That seemed like progress. I had left for Paul's surgery believing Colin was still working from the small desk in the guest room. It was an old oak thing with one shallow drawer that stuck in damp weather. He complained about it, but Colin complained about furniture the way some people discuss sports. He liked things that adjusted, synchronized, and came with charging ports. His current desk was not the guest room desk. This one looked capable of tracking satellites. Where did that come from? I asked. Storage, Marianne said. Whose storage? His. Then he planned to bring it here. He planned to work. He was working before, not comfortably. I looked down the short hallway toward the living room. Were you? She set the knife down. There it was. A question too direct to dodge without showing you were dodging it. Marianne had always been better at that game than I was. She took 2 glasses from the cabinet and filled them with ice. I don't sit there all day, she said. I didn't say you did. You were going to. I was going to ask if you wanted it moved. And then what? Then I'd move it. No discussion. I assumed the discussion already happened. It did. And I said it would be all right. She handed me a glass of iced tea. It contained 4 lemon slices and no sugar. I drank it anyway. The call in the living room ended with a chorus of thank yous. A chair rolled backward. Colin appeared in the kitchen doorway, wearing a pale blue dress shirt tucked into gray sweatpants. He was 40 years old, but for one confused instant, he looked 17. The same guilty posture, the same hopeful half grin, the same belief that if he got to the explanation fast enough, consequences might not find him. Welcome home, he said. He hugged me. Colin was a good hugger. He committed to it. My cheek pressed against his collar, and I caught the clean medicinal smell of the aftershave Elena used to buy him. How's Uncle Paul? Mean? So, better? Much. He opened the refrigerator and took out the pitcher Marianne had just put away. Mom tell you about the new setup? She told me you needed it for work. Night and day, Dad. Seriously. I had 3 calls today, and nobody talked over me once. Maybe they were impressed by the maple. He laughed, not realizing I wasn't entirely joking. It's the depth, he said. The window creates separation from the background, so it doesn't look like I'm broadcasting out of a spare bedroom. You are broadcasting out of a spare bedroom. No, I was. That was the problem. He poured tea into a water bottle that had the name of a conference printed down the side. Your mother's chair was the problem. The layout was the problem. He looked at Marianne. We talked about this. We did, she said. I could hear how carefully she placed each word. Colin heard only agreement. He came over and tapped my shoulder with 2 fingers, a salesman sealing a friendly deal. It's temporary. That word is doing heavy labor around here. His smile faded. What does that mean? It means 6 weeks is also temporary. The room changed, not dramatically, no thunder. The ice maker dropped a load of cubes into its bin, and all 3 of us flinched. Marianne said, Ray, you just got home. I know when I got home. I mean, you're tired. I'm not tired. I was exhausted. Paul had refused pain medication, then spent every night announcing his pain level through the wall, but tired was not the same as confused, and I did not appreciate Marianne offering Colin the distinction. Colin capped his bottle. I didn't realize this was going to be an issue. Did you ask before you moved it? Yes. Marianne turned toward the sink. I said, How did you ask? He gave a disbelieving laugh. What? Did you say, Mom, do you want your chair in the garage? I said I needed the window for work. That isn't asking about the chair. The desk had to go somewhere. So did the chair, apparently. Ray, Marianne said again. The way she said my name was warning enough. I had been home less than an hour. My suitcase remained by the front door. And I was standing in the kitchen, cross-examining a man whose marriage had cracked open. I knew what this looked like. I also knew what the scrape marks looked like. Colin pressed his lips together. Elena used to say he did that when he was arranging the room in his head, so he could be the reasonable person in it. I'm trying to keep my life from falling apart, he said quietly. I'm sorry if that's inconvenient. There were better answers available to me, kind ones, useful ones. I chose. Your mother likes that chair. Marianne picked up the pitcher. I am standing right here. Colin looked at her. Mom, do you want me to move the desk? She should have said yes. I knew she wanted to. I watched her fingers tighten around the glass handle, but Colin had asked in that wounded voice, and his shirt was still sharply pressed above those ridiculous sweatpants, and Elena had not called him in 11 days. I want everyone to stop acting like furniture is a declaration of war, she said. Colin exhaled through his nose. To him, that meant victory. He took his tea back to the living room. A moment later, I heard the soft electronic chime of another meeting beginning. Marianne faced me. Do not do this for me, she said. What am I doing? You get quiet, and you start carrying things. I stared at her. She had known me a long time. I went outside through the mudroom and opened the garage. Her chair lay on its side beneath an old canvas drop cloth, wedged between the mower and 3 bags of fertilizer. One green arm stuck out as if the chair had tried to crawl free. I pulled away the cloth. The fabric was dusty. The rear left foot had a pale gouge through the finish, fresh enough that the exposed wood looked almost white. Her reading glasses were still tucked between the cushion and the arm. I stood there holding them while the garage door hummed shut behind me. Then I heard Mary Ann come in. Ray. I slipped the glasses into my shirt pocket, bent down, and got both hands under the chair. She did not tell me to stop. She did not help me either. "Open the mudroom door," I said. Mary Ann stepped aside without moving toward it. I adjusted my grip. The chair was heavier than I remembered. Most things were. When we bought it, I could carry one end of a sofa with a sandwich in my other hand. Now I had to consider my knees, my back, and whether dying beneath a wingback would give Colin too much material for the eulogy. "Mare, I heard you. Then either open the door or tell me to put it down. I told you not to do this for me. I'm not. I need somewhere to sit. You have a recliner. I don't like the recliner. You picked it. I made a mistake." Her mouth twitched, but she stayed where she was. I lowered the chair onto its feet. "Did you really tell him it was all right?" I asked. "I said I supposed he could use the space." "That's not the same. It was close enough for him. And for you?" She folded her arms. "What would you like me to say, Ray? That you wanted the chair moved. I didn't. Then why did you let him move it?" Her face changed. Not much, a small tightening around the eyes. "Because he's having a terrible time. So, we put you in the garage? It is a chair. You sit in it every morning?" "Not every morning." "You sat there the morning I left. That was 9 days ago. You had coffee. You complained about the squirrels. I complain about the squirrels from several locations." I took her glasses from my shirt pocket and held them out. She looked at them, then toward the chair. "They were in the cushion," I said. She accepted them carefully. "I have another pair." "Of course you do." "I don't like that tone. I don't like that you needed another pair because these were under a drop cloth." The door from the kitchen opened. Colin stood there holding his headset in one hand. "What's going on?" "Nothing," Mary Ann said. "Your father was just about to throw his back out," she added, turning to me. "Apparently in defense of literacy." "I can help," Colin said. "I thought you had a call. I pushed it 10 minutes. You can push calls?" He gave me a long look. "Some calls." He came down the 2 steps into the garage and took the other side of the chair. He did not object to moving it. That irritated me more than if he had. "Where are we putting it?" he asked. "Where it was." His fingers tightened beneath the frame. "Dad." "You asked where." "I meant where in the house. The living room. My desk is there," I noticed. We stood facing each other with Mary Ann's chair suspended between us. Colin had my height and Mary Ann's dark eyes. He also had an ability neither of us possessed. He could look deeply injured while lifting something heavy. At 20, he had carried an entire dorm refrigerator down 2 flights of stairs after being told not to, wearing the expression of a man abandoned by society. "Can we figure this out after 5? He said. "It is after 5. It's 4:30. I had forgotten Mary Ann's clock was wrong. "Fine," I said. 4:30. My day isn't over. Neither is ours. "Ray," Mary Ann said. "Put your end down," Colin told me. "No, we can't stand here holding this while we argue. That's the first thing you've said today that I agree with." He shifted his grip. "Then, let's put it in the den. There's no room in the den. We could move the bookcase." I stared at him. What did the bookcase do? Mary Ann opened the mudroom door. "Bring it inside before the neighbors start selling tickets." We got the chair as far as the kitchen, where it immediately became an obstacle. Colin had to return to his call. He said this 3 times, each time with greater urgency, although nobody had come looking for him. "Give me until 5:30, he said, "then we'll rearrange." He hurried back into the living room, shutting the glass-paneled door behind him. The door had never been shut before Colin moved in. I wasn't even sure why we had one between the kitchen and living room. It was one of those decorative decisions made by people who did not intend to live in a house. Colin had discovered that if he closed it, the kitchen became a silent film. I could see his mouth moving, but I could not hear which opportunities he was aligning. Mary Ann squeezed around the chair to reach the stove. "You know he'll move the desk," she said. If you give him a chance to do it without turning it into a defeat, do you? Do I what? Know he'll move it. She took a package of chicken from the refrigerator. He said it was temporary. That answer seems familiar. Can we not discuss the entire living arrangement while I'm trying to cook? We could order something. He likes my chicken. I looked at the raw chicken in her hands and then through the glass door at our son, who was nodding gravely into his ring light. Of course he does. She put the package down harder than necessary. I like my chicken too. I know. Do you? We had been speaking softly, but that landed with enough force to make me stop. Marianne turned on the faucet. Water struck the stainless steel sink. She washed her hands for a long time. When we were younger, I believed I knew the geography of our marriage. There were places where she led, places where I led, and places we entered together. I paid attention to the large borders, money, jobs, where we lived. I had not paid much attention to who decided dinner, who changed plans when somebody called, who took the uncomfortable chair so everyone else could have the comfortable ones. I leaned against the counter. What does that mean? It means you've been gone 9 days, and within 10 minutes of coming home, you decided I had been mistreated. You were. Maybe I was. Maybe. Maybe I made a choice you don't like. That's different. How? Being allowed to choose includes being allowed to say no. She dried her hands. And being married includes not having your husband inspect every yes to determine whether it was sincere enough. I started to answer, but she picked up the chicken again. Please get your suitcase out of the entry, she said. Some of us live here. I did. The guest room door was open when I carried my suitcase upstairs. Calling it the guest room had become dishonest. Colin's clothes hung from the brass handles of the dresser. A laundry basket stood in the middle of the floor, full of clean shirts Marianne had folded. The little oak desk remained against the wall, covered with unopened mail, cables, and 3 empty coffee cups. I put my suitcase in our bedroom and returned for my shaving kit. One of the coffee cups had a brown ring dried into the bottom. I picked it up, then set it down. That was how it worked with Colin. An object waited in the wrong place until somebody became more bothered by it than he was. Usually that person was Marianne. Sometimes it was Elena. Often it had been me. When Colin was 28, he left an old mattress in our garage after moving between apartments. Every few months I asked what he wanted to do with it. Every few months he said he would handle it. After a year, I borrowed a truck and took it to the dump. He thanked me as though I had performed a favor. I had thought I was teaching him that family showed up. Maybe I had taught him that waiting was the same as deciding. I carried the cups downstairs. At 5:30, Colin was still on his call. At 5:45, Marianne put the chicken in the oven. At 6, the chair remained in the kitchen, forcing us to circle it every time we crossed the room. At 6:12, Colin opened the glass door. That smells amazing. He walked into the kitchen, loosened his collar, and saw me sitting in Marianne's chair with my arms crossed. I thought we were going to rearrange, I said. He glanced at the clock. The call ran long. Must have been the depth. What? The visual depth. People lost track of time. Marianne opened the oven. Ray set the table. First we moved the desk. Dinner's almost ready. It'll take 5 minutes. Colin leaned back against the counter. Can we eat first? No. The word surprised all of us. I was not a no first person. I was a let's see person. A maybe we can person. I preferred to approach disagreement from the side and make small practical adjustments until everybody found themselves standing somewhere acceptable. Marianne shut the oven. Colin studied me. Okay. He returned to the living room and began disconnecting cables. I pushed myself out of the chair and followed. Up close, his setup was even larger. The desktop could rise and fall at the touch of a button. A tray underneath held enough wires to restrain a horse. He had clamped the ring light to the side and run the power cord behind Marianne's little table, which now sat in the corner beneath a stack of printer paper. You can put it in the dining room, I said. The light's terrible. Buy a lamp. The background is the kitchen. Turn the desk. Then the outlets are on the wrong side. Use an extension cord. People walk through there. Sometimes people walk through houses. He crouched to unplug a power strip. This is exactly why I had it here. I lifted one monitor, and that's exactly why it's going somewhere else. He stood up. Do you want me to get back on my feet or not? There was anger in his voice now, but underneath it was something smaller and less stable. I want you to get back on your feet. This is my job. This is your mother's living room. I'm not stopping her from using it. Where would she sit? We have other chairs. Then put your desk where one of those chairs is." For a second, he almost laughed. Then he looked past me at Marianne, who stood in the doorway holding an oven mitt. "Mom?" She looked at the desk. She looked at her chair waiting in the kitchen. "Dinner's getting cold," she said. Colin bent and yanked the last plug from the wall. We carried the desk into the dining room without speaking. It was lighter than the chair and much more awkward. Halfway through the doorway, one of the adjustable legs caught on the trim. "Your side up," he said. "My side is up." "Your other up." "I only have one up. Turn clockwise." "Who's clockwise?" "Dad, there is only one clockwise. There are two people." Marianne made a sound behind us that might have been a laugh or a sob. The desk settled against the dining room wall. Colin looked at it with open disgust. I returned the green chair to the pale rectangle by the window. The scraped foot showed against the floor. During dinner, Colin described the dining room as unworkable 4 times. Marianne praised the chicken twice. I asked if anybody wanted more potatoes until the question became threatening. Afterward, Colin went upstairs. Marianne gathered the plates. "You got what you wanted," she said. I looked into the living room. Her glasses rested on the little table again. The maple leaves moved in the dark window. "I thought it was what you wanted." She stacked my plate on top of hers. "That," she said, "is the problem." Sometime before dawn, a soft dragging sound woke me. The other side of the bed was empty. I reached toward the lamp, then stopped. From downstairs came a small wooden knock, a pause, and the faint rattle of brass wheels crossing the floor. I found Marianne in the living room, wearing her robe and slippers, both hands braced against the back of the green chair. She had pushed it halfway across the rug. "What are you doing?" She jumped. "Good Lord, Ray. Sorry. No, you're not." "I'm sorry I scared you. The other part is still under review." The ring light was back beside the window. Colin's monitors sat on the floor, and the black desk stood diagonally in the doorway between the living room and dining room. Marianne had apparently been moving it in sections, like a woman smuggling a car across a border. I looked at the clock on the mantel. It was 5:18. "Why?" I asked. "He has a presentation at 8. He had a presentation yesterday." "This is different. Does he have any ordinary calls, or are they all historic?" "Keep your voice down." "Why? He's the one with the professional soundproof setup." "He didn't ask me. That stopped me." Marianne tightened her grip on the chair. "He mentioned at dinner that he had an important presentation. He didn't ask me to do anything." "So you waited until he was asleep." "I woke up and couldn't get back to sleep." "You woke up and decided to move an office." "I thought it would avoid another argument." "We already had the argument." "Yes, Ray, I was there." She pushed. The rear foot caught on the edge of the rug. The scrape along the finish looked brighter in the dim room, raw wood against green fabric. I put my hand on the chair. "Leave it. You're blocking the doorway. I'm keeping you from dragging it. It has wheels, not where you're pushing." We stood on opposite sides of it, both whispering fiercely. If anyone had looked through the window, they might have thought we were burglars who disagreed about the loot. Marianne released the chair. "There," she said. "You win. I don't want to win. Then you have a peculiar method. What I want is for you to say what you want. I want to go back to bed." "About the chair." She stared at me. The house made its early morning noises around us. The furnace clicked. A pipe knocked behind the wall. Upstairs, a floorboard creaked, and we both froze. Nothing followed. Marianne lowered her voice further. "I want Colin to get through one important morning without feeling like everything is being taken from him. Everything isn't being taken from him. You know what I mean? I know his marriage is in trouble. I know he's living in his parents' guest room. I know he's embarrassed. Do you? I was there when he arrived. You were there when he carried in the suitcases. That isn't the same as being with him." The words landed cleanly. I removed my hand from the chair. "What have I missed?" She looked toward the staircase. "He doesn't sleep. He comes down at 2, 3 in the morning. Some nights he sits at the table and doesn't say anything. Some nights he talks until I can barely keep my eyes open. About Elena? Sometimes. What does he say? That she looks at him like she's already decided who he is, that every conversation ends before it starts. That sounds rehearsed. Maybe he rehearses it because he has nobody else to tell. He has me. Does he?" I felt my jaw tighten. I had called Colin twice while I was at Paul's. The first time, Colin said he was heading into a meeting. The second, I was standing in a pharmacy trying to find compression socks, while Paul shouted through the phone about the difference between beige and taupe. Colin said everything was fine. I had believed him because I needed to. He could have called, I said. Of course he could have. There are ways your wife can agree with you that make disagreement feel generous. Marianne rubbed her forehead. I'm not saying this arrangement is working. I'm saying I was trying to give him one decent morning. By taking yours away. It is 3 hours. It was 9 days. Because I left it there, in the garage. Yes, on its side. I didn't put it on its side. Who did? She didn't answer. The creak on the stairs came again. Colin appeared wearing running shorts and a t-shirt, his hair flattened on one side. He took in the chair, the desk, and the two of us standing barefoot in the middle of the room. What happened? Your father heard me moving the chair, Marianne said. He looked at me. Mom said I could use the window this morning. When? Last night. Marianne's eyes flicked toward him. He corrected himself. I mean, we talked about the presentation last night. She said we'd figure it out. That is not what I said, Marianne told him. You said not to worry about it. I said I didn't want to discuss it while we were eating. Right, which usually means you'll handle it. The sentence hung there. Colin heard it after he said it. His face changed, but not into embarrassment, into caution. Marianne folded her robe tighter across her chest. Usually? I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? He glanced at me, and I saw the impulse to make me responsible for the question. Mom, I'm tired. I have a presentation in less than 3 hours. Can we please not do this now? She looked at the desk blocking the doorway. Apparently, I was already doing it. I didn't ask you to move that yourself. You didn't offer. I was asleep. So was your father. He managed to wake up. Because you were dragging furniture around. I stepped between them before I thought about it. Enough. Marianne laughed once. There was no humor in it. Here comes the peacekeeper. Colin's eyebrows rose. I turned toward her. What is that supposed to mean? It means the minute a conversation becomes uncomfortable, you step in and tell everyone when it's over. You said you didn't want an argument. I didn't. Then we had one. Fine. Continue. Oh, how gracious. Colin picked up one monitor from the floor. I'm moving this back to the dining room. No, Marianne said. He stopped. She pointed at the window. Set up your presentation. Neither Colin nor I moved. You heard me, she said. Mayor, do not mayor me. He needs the room until 11. He can have it until 11. Colin's relief was immediate and painful to watch. Thank you. I'm not finished. At 11, you put the desk back in the dining room. You put my chair back exactly where it was. You do not drag it, you do not ask your father to do it, and you do not leave one cord or coffee cup behind. Absolutely. And if the dining room doesn't work after that, you find somewhere outside this house that does. His relief faltered. Okay, I mean it. I said, okay. Marianne turned to me. And you are going back upstairs. I can help with the desk. No, it's blocking the doorway. Step over it. She walked past me into the kitchen. Colin and I stood in the wreckage of his office. He set down the monitor. I didn't ask her to do this, he said. You didn't have to. His mouth hardened. You think I'm using her. I think you're very comfortable being helped. What's wrong with that? Nothing, if you notice what it costs. He looked toward the kitchen. You've been home one night, long enough to find her chair in the garage. You keep saying that like I threw her out of the house. No, you just took the place she liked best, for work, right? What is that supposed to mean? It means you say work the way a priest says God. He gave me a tired, disgusted look. You don't understand what my job is. You're right. I work with people in 4 time zones. I can't sit at a dining table while somebody runs a blender behind me. We don't own a blender. That is not the point. I'm beginning to wonder what is. His eyes went cold. The point is that if I lose this job, you'll have a lot more to complain about than where I put a desk. Are you in danger of losing it? He looked away too fast. Before I could ask again, Marianne called from the kitchen. Ray, go upstairs. I went, not because I agreed with her, and not because I was finished. I went because she had finally asked for something plainly. In our bedroom, I lay on top of the covers and listened to furniture move below me. The desk legs bumped twice against the trim. Colin cursed. Marianne told him to lift his side. He said he was lifting it. She said he clearly had more than one version of up. I smiled despite myself. At 7, the shower started in the guest bathroom. At 7:15, Marianne came into our room fully dressed. "You could have told me," I said. She opened her dresser drawer. "About what?" "That he was up with you at night. It wasn't mine to tell. I'm his father. And he is 40. I could have talked to him." "You could still talk to him. He doesn't seem eager, neither do you." I sat up. I asked how he was. You ask questions that can be answered with, "Fine." What am I supposed to ask? She selected a pair of earrings, then changed her mind and put them back. "That is not a question I can answer for you. You seem to have plenty of answers this morning." She shut the drawer. "You asked me what I wanted. I told you. Then you stood downstairs explaining why it was wrong. I was explaining what it cost." "No. You were explaining what you had already decided it cost." She turned toward me. "I liked that chair by the window. I did not like finding it in the garage. I also chose not to make an issue of it while our son was falling apart. You can disagree with my choice, but stop turning me into a woman too weak to know she made one." I got to my feet. He put it on its side. "Yes." He damaged the foot. "Yes." "And you're not angry?" "I am furious." "Then act furious." Her laugh was quiet and sharp. "You first." I stared at her. She picked up her watch from the dresser. "You are angry because you came home and saw one thing you could fix. That chair is heavy, but it is simple. You carry it inside, and suddenly you're the husband who protects his wife and the father who teaches his son a lesson. That's unfair. Is it?" "Yes." "Then why haven't you asked why Elena left? He said they're taking space, and that satisfied you." "It wasn't my business. Neither was my chair until it was something you knew how to lift." She fastened the watch around her wrist and walked out. At 8, I went downstairs. The living room door was closed. Colin sat at his desk in a charcoal jacket, speaking with confident warmth into the ring light. Behind him, morning sun filtered through the maple. The framing was excellent. Nobody looking at that polished square could have guessed he slept 10 feet from a basket of his mother's folded laundry. Marianne's chair waited in the kitchen. I sat in it with my coffee. The scrape on the foot faced me like an accusation. Through the glass door, Colin spread his hands and smiled at someone I could not see. Marianne stood at the sink, looking out over the backyard. After a while, I said, "Why did Elena leave?" Marianne did not turn around. "You're asking the wrong person," she said. "Will he tell me?" "Not if you ask it like that." "How should I ask?" She glanced over her shoulder. "Try asking what he did. That sounds accusatory. It is a question. It has a verdict hidden inside it. Then take the verdict out." "How?" Marianne turned back to the sink. "You're asking the wrong person again." On the other side of the glass door, Colin laughed at something one of his clients said. It was an easy, attractive laugh. I had heard it in restaurants, at weddings, in hardware stores when he needed an employee to check the back room. Colin could make people feel as if the two of them had just discovered they were the smartest ones present. At 8:47, Marianne poured herself a second cup of coffee. At 9:20, she opened the refrigerator, stared inside, and closed it. At 9:55, I offered to make eggs. She said she was not hungry. I made them anyway and ate both portions. The chair took up too much space in the kitchen. Every time one of us crossed between the stove and the table, we had to turn sideways. That should have made the situation ridiculous. Instead, it made the room feel arranged around an absence. At 10:58, Colin was still talking. Marianne stood, carried her cup to the sink, and put on her shoes. "Where are you going?" "The library. You want company?" "No." She picked up her purse. "Will you be back for lunch?" I don't know." "Should I make anything?" She looked at me. "You have spent one morning in the kitchen and become obsessed with meals. I'm trying to be useful." "I know." That did not sound like praise. She opened the back door, then paused. "Do not move the desk for him. I wasn't planning to." "You were staring at the clock." He said 11. He knows what he said. What if he doesn't move it? Then the chair remains here. That punishes you. "No, Ray. It inconveniences me. There is a difference." She left. At 11, Colin was answering questions. At 11:07, the ring light remained on. At 11:14, someone on the monitor was sharing a chart. I tried to read the newspaper, but I kept reaching the same paragraph about a sewer bond, and learning nothing about sewers or bonds. At 11:26, the meeting ended. Colin stayed at the desk, typing. I could see him through the glass. His suit jacket was off, his sleeves rolled up. He answered a message, checked his phone, and answered another. I folded the newspaper and waited. He did not look up. At 11:34, I opened the door. He raised one finger. "No," I said. His finger remained in the air. "You promised your mother 11. I'm sending a follow-up." "Send it from the dining room." 2 minutes. 11 was 34 minutes ago. He stopped typing. "Have you seriously been timing me?" "There's a clock." "Dad, the presentation went well. I'm glad. We may land the regional contract. I'm glad. That would be a very big deal for me. I am glad. You don't sound glad. I can be glad while you move the desk." His hands settled flat on the desktop. For a second, I thought he might refuse. Then he shut the laptop harder than necessary. Fine. He disconnected the monitors and placed them on the sofa. He wound each cable with sharp, efficient movements. I stayed in the doorway. "You're not helping?" he asked. "Your mother told me not to." He looked toward the back door. "Of course she did. What does that mean?" "It means she knows this thing weighs a ton. She moved it before dawn. That was her decision." The words sounded different when he said them. He lifted one end of the desk and tried to steer it through the doorway alone. The left leg caught on the trim exactly where it had the night before. "Turn it clockwise," I said. He looked up. "I thought you weren't helping. I'm not touching it. Then don't coach." He lowered the desk, rotated it the wrong direction, and caught the other leg. "Other clockwise," I said. He glared at me. I went back to my newspaper. There was scraping, one muffled curse, and a bang that rattled the glass panes. I kept my eyes on the article. The sewer bond passed by 4 votes. I knew that now. After several minutes, the desk appeared in the kitchen doorway with Colin behind it, red-faced and breathing hard. "Could you move the chair? You have room." "I don't. You do if you turn." "Whose turn?" I lowered the newspaper. He was trying not to smile. "Your mother heard that joke already. She probably laughed when you told it. She made an uncertain noise." He shifted the desk and got it past the chair with an inch to spare. In the dining room, he set it against the wall and immediately began connecting the power strip. "You said the room was unworkable," I said. "It is. You seem to be working. I am plugging things in. Promising start." He sat back on his heels. "Did you come home planning to be like this?" "Like what?" "Retired." "I've been retired 3 years. No, I mean aggressively retired. Watching clocks, reading the newspaper at people. I was reading about sewers. Of course you were." He went upstairs for the rest of his equipment. I carried the monitors from the sofa to the dining table. That was not moving the desk, and I decided not to examine the distinction too closely. When he came down, he saw them and said nothing. Together, without discussing it, we returned the chair to the window. He lifted from the back this time, so the damaged foot did not touch the floor. I guided the brass wheels over the rug. Once the chair was in place, he stood with both hands on its back. "I didn't know I scraped it," he said. "You didn't look. I was moving it by myself. That tends to be when you look." "I was in a hurry." "I know." He ran his thumb over the pale gouge. "I'll fix it. Ask your mother first." He gave me a sideways look. "It's damaged." "That wasn't what I said." "I heard what you said." "Good." He stepped away and collected his ring light. I sat in the chair. It fit me badly. The seat was too deep, and the small cushion pressed against a part of my spine that preferred to be left alone. Marianne had bought it at an estate sale years before and had the fabric redone in green. I had suggested brown because brown went with everything. She said brown went with giving up. Colin clamped the ring light to his desk in the dining room and switched it on. The white circle reflected in the dark kitchen window. "It looks fine," I said. "It looks like a hostage video. People pay attention to those." He turned it off. I watched him rearrange the monitors 3 times. "Do you have time for lunch?" "I've got a 1 o'clock. It's 11:50. "That is time for lunch if food already exists. I can make sandwiches." He hesitated. "Turkey?" "If your mother bought it." "She did." "Then yes." He followed me into the kitchen and sat at the table while I took out bread, turkey, mustard, cheese, lettuce, and a jar of pickles. I laid everything on the counter. "Are we opening a deli?" he asked. "I don't know what you want." "You could ask." I looked at him. He saw it too. "Turkey, mustard, no cheese," he said. "I knew that." "You got cheese out." "I like cheese." You're making one for yourself? I thought I might eat again if that's all right. I saw the egg pan. You're observant when furniture isn't involved. He smiled despite himself. I made the sandwiches. We ate at the table with the chair now visible through the doorway, restored to its familiar patch of light. Colin finished half his sandwich before he said, "You don't have to worry about my job. You told me I should." I said if I lost it, it would be a problem. That doesn't mean I'm losing it. You looked worried when I asked. I was annoyed. They look similar on you. He picked up a pickle, inspected it, and put it back. The division's changing, he said. Everyone's under pressure. What kind of changing? Reorganization, new accounts, different reporting lines. Are you good at what you do? He laughed. You have no idea what I do. That wasn't the question. Yes, I'm good at it. I believe you. He looked at me, suspicious of the compliment. I ate the rest of my sandwich. Is that why Elena asked you to leave? His chair creaked as he leaned back. What? You said your job is under pressure. Did it have something to do with the separation? No. What did? He wiped mustard from his thumb. You talked to Mom. I talk to your mother most days. About me. Yes. What did she tell you? To ask you. That sounds like Mom. I waited. Colin glanced at the clock. He still had more than half an hour before his call, but he looked at it as if escape had promised to arrive early. We weren't getting along, he said. I gathered that. Elena decided everything was a pattern. What does that mean? It means if I forgot to pick something up, it wasn't one mistake. It was proof I didn't listen. If I worked late, it wasn't one late night. It was proof I didn't prioritize her. Every argument came with 10 years of supporting evidence. Did she have 10 years of evidence? He gave a short laugh. Whose side are you on? I'm having lunch with you. That isn't an answer. I didn't know there were sides. There are always sides. I thought of Marianne pushing the chair through the dark while both men in her house slept. What did you do? I asked. His face closed. See? That. You already assume I did something. Most separations involve people doing things. She changed. How? She stopped letting anything go. Maybe she got tired of losing it. He pushed his plate away. This was a mistake. Lunch? Talking to you? You haven't told me anything. Because you're not asking. You're building a case. I'm trying to understand. No, you're trying to connect her leaving with Mom's chair so you can explain me to yourself. That was close enough to the truth that I felt heat rise behind my collar. Colin stood. Elena asked for space, he said. I gave it to her. I came here so she could have the house. I kept paying my share. I didn't drag anyone into it. I didn't make demands. You moved into our home. You invited me. We did. So, don't rewrite it now like I showed up with a crowbar. I'm not. You've been home less than a day, and suddenly everything I do is evidence. He took his plate to the sink. The movement was automatic, almost aggressive. He rinsed it, put it in the dishwasher, then wiped the counter where his sandwich had left crumbs. I will work in the dining room, he said. I will keep my things upstairs. I will stay out of Mom's chair. If you want a list, write one. I don't want a list. What do you want? I had an answer, but it sounded too simple. I want you to notice before somebody has to tell you. His expression shifted, hurt first, then anger covering it. Maybe people should say what they mean. He walked into the dining room and switched on the ring light. In the living room, sunlight had reached the scrape on Marianne's chair. Against the dark wood, the gouge looked larger than it had in the garage. I went to the hall closet for the furniture polish, then stopped with my hand on the knob. Ask your mother first. I left the Polish where it was. Marianne came home carrying 2 library books and a paper bag from the bakery. She stopped in the kitchen, looked toward the living room, then toward the dining room. Everything survived, I said. I can see that. Colin moved the desk himself. I can also see that. I did carry the monitors. Her eyes narrowed. They weren't attached. Ray. I did not touch the desk. She put the paper bag on the counter. Should I congratulate you? I'd settle for half a cinnamon roll. They're scones. Then I withdraw the request. She took off her coat and hung it on the mudroom hook. I followed her into the living room. She set the books on the little table and ran her fingertips over the damaged foot. Colin says he didn't know he scraped it, I said. Do you believe him? I believe he didn't look. She crouched beside the chair. The pale streak was about 3 inches long, more ugly than serious. He offered to fix it. He did? After I told him to ask you. Her hand stopped on the wood. You told him to ask me? Yes. She straightened slowly. Why? Because it's your chair. And you might want it done a certain way. What way do you think I want it done? I don't know. That's why he has to ask. She searched my face as if I might be setting a trap. You're being strange, she said. I'm trying something. I hate when you say that. You hate when I fix things without asking. You hate when I ask too many questions. I'm looking for the middle. The middle is not a place you find once and build a fence around. That seems inefficient. She sat in the chair. The cushion gave beneath her in a familiar way, taking her shape without ceremony. She picked up one of the library books and rested it in her lap. I waited. Are you going to watch me sit? She asked. I wanted to know if it felt right. It feels like a chair. You know what I mean? Yes. She opened her book. I stood there long enough for her to look up again. Go find something to do, Ray. I went into the garage and spent 40 minutes arranging tools that were already arranged. At 1, Colin began his call in the dining room. The glass door could not help him there. His voice carried through the kitchen and into the hallway. Absolutely, Nina. I found the newspaper and sat at the kitchen table. I think the opportunity here is alignment. The sewer bond had nothing new to offer me. At 1:12, I made coffee. Colin looked over his monitor as I filled the kettle. I gave him a small wave. He pointed at his headset, then at the electric kettle. I pointed at my cup. He muted himself. Could you wait 20 minutes? He whispered. For coffee? The kettle's loud. It heats water. I know what it does. It'll take 2 minutes. Dad? I set the kettle on its base. His jaw tightened. He unmuted himself and returned to a discussion about implementation. The kettle began its low hum. I took a mug from the cabinet, then another because Marianne might want coffee. The cups clicked together. Colin muted again. Seriously? I'm making coffee in the kitchen. You said you wanted me to work in here. I said I wanted the desk in here. What's the difference? The kitchen remains a kitchen. Can it remain a quiet kitchen for 15 minutes? His request was reasonable. That made it irritating. I turned off the kettle. Thank you, he said. I carried the empty mugs into the living room. Marianne sat in her chair reading. No coffee? She asked. Your son is using the water professionally. She closed her book around one finger. You could wait. I am waiting. Loudly, I turned it off. You're still doing it. Doing what? Making sure he understands that every ordinary thing you do is a sacrifice. I wanted coffee. At 1:15 in the afternoon, during the call you knew he had. I have coffee at 1:15. Since when? Today. She stared at me. I sat on the sofa. He could work somewhere else. He is working somewhere else. You put him there. I didn't put him in the dining room so he could annex the kitchen. Nobody has annexed anything. He asked me not to boil water for 15 minutes. First it's 15 minutes. Oh, please don't finish that sentence. What sentence? The one where a quiet kettle becomes the fall of democracy. I looked toward the dining room. Colin was speaking softly now, perhaps afraid even his voice might provoke me. I'm allowed to live in my own house, I said. So is he, for the moment. I know. Do you? That's the problem. Every time I act like I know, temporary gets longer. She set the book on the table. Colin's presentation went well. He told you, he texted me. He was in the next room. He knew you were waiting for the chair. I was not waiting for the chair. You sat in it the entire time, because it was in the kitchen. There are 4 other chairs in the kitchen. That one was making a point. Exactly. I leaned back. She had been reading a mystery novel. On the cover, a beautiful woman in a red coat stood near a cliff, apparently reconsidering every choice that had brought her there. Are you angry with me or with him? I asked. Yes. That isn't helpful. It wasn't meant to be. The kettle clicked faintly as it cooled. In the dining room, Colin said, I'll have that to you by end of day. Marianne lowered her voice. He's trying. I know. Do you? Yes. Because you're treating every request like a land grab. He took your chair. And he put it back. After we made him. That is often how people correct things. He's 40. So are many people who need correction. I don't want to correct him. I want him to see it. Then stop pointing so hard. She reopened her book. At 1:38, Colin emerged from the dining room. Coffee's safe, he said. I got up. Dad, I turned. I know this isn't ideal. His voice had lost the polished tone. He looked tired again. the way he had when he first arrived. "I'm trying to keep a normal workday," he said. "I'm not trying to control the house." "I know. You clearly don't. I can understand your intention and dislike the result." He glanced at Marianne. "Is that from him or from a greeting card?" "Too long for a greeting card," she said. He rubbed the back of his neck. "What if I give you my call schedule?" he asked. "Not every little meeting, just the ones where I need quiet. Then you won't feel like I'm springing it on you." "That sounds reasonable," Marianne said. They both looked at me. "How much quiet?" I asked. "Maybe an hour or two on busy days." "Which rooms?" "The dining room and kitchen." "The kitchen is not your office. It's visible behind me. Turn the desk. The outlets, extension cord." He closed his eyes briefly. Marianne said, "Could we hang a curtain?" "No," Colin and I said together. He laughed. I did too, against my will. "Fine," he said. "I'll turn the desk." We spent the next 20 minutes trying 3 positions. The first put a framed photograph of Marianne's parents directly behind his head, which made them look like disappointed ghosts. The second faced the ring light toward the window and produced a reflection visible from space. The third put a plain wall behind him and kept the kitchen mostly outside the frame. Colin sat down and checked the camera. "This is actually okay," he admitted. "Careful," I said. "I may get confident. Let's not go crazy." He shifted the monitor half an inch. "I'll still give you my schedule." "Fine." "And if I have a major presentation, could I use the window?" I looked into the living room. Marianne watched us from the green chair. "Ask your mother," I said. Colin followed my gaze. "Mom?" She did not answer immediately. "If I say no," she said, "does no mean no?" "Yes," not "ask again later." "Yes," not "explain why I don't understand your work." He winced. "Okay, then you can ask." It was not permission. Colin seemed to understand that this time. He returned to work. I finally made the coffee. That evening, he cooked dinner. Colin's cooking involved every pan we owned and ingredients Marianne had not known were in the house. He made pasta with mushrooms, lemon, and enough garlic to discourage visitors. He opened a bottle of wine and set the table without being asked. "This is lovely," Marianne said. "It's strategic," I told her. "He wants the window." Colin handed me a glass. "I want you sedated." We ate in the dining room after he pushed his desk against the wall. The meal was excellent. I told him so. He looked pleased, then covered it with a shrug. "Elena taught me." The name settled over the table. Marianne twirled pasta around her fork. "Have you spoken to her?" "Yesterday." Neither of us asked the next question quickly enough. Colin drank his wine. "She's still not ready." "For what?" I asked. "To have a real conversation." "What makes a conversation real?" "One where she doesn't decide the outcome beforehand." Marianne said, "What outcome do you want?" "I want to go to counseling." Her eyebrows rose. "You do?" "I've told her that." "And she said no?" "She said she needs more time." "That's not no," Marianne said. "It's not yes." "How much time?" "She won't say." He stood and collected our plates, though I was still chewing. "Colin," Marianne said gently, "I don't want to spend dinner talking about this. You brought her up. I said she taught me to cook." He carried the dishes to the kitchen. Marianne and I sat in silence. On the wall behind the desk, the ring light cast a thin circular shadow. Later, after Colin went upstairs, I found Marianne in her chair with the lamp off. The book lay closed in her lap. "He told you she refused counseling," I said. "He said she wasn't ready." "That's different." "Yes." "Did you notice?" She looked toward the dark dining room. "I notice more than you think." "Then why didn't you say anything?" "Because he cooked dinner." He laughed. For 1 hour he looked like himself. "That's enough?" "No." Her fingers traced the edge of the book. "But sometimes," she said, "I miss him while he's sitting right in front of me." I sat on the sofa across from her. The chair was back where it belonged. Marianne was not reading. Neither of us felt restored. We stayed that way until the furnace came on. Marianne turned on the lamp beside her chair. "You don't have to look so tragic, I'm thinking." "That's what you say when you want me to ask what about." "Do you want to?" "No." "Colin." She rolled her eyes. "What do you miss?" I asked. "About him?" "About himself." The question came out wrong, but she understood it. "When he was easy," she said. "Before every conversation became a test of whether we believed in him. He's always wanted people to believe in him. He used to believe us when we did." I watched the light move across her face as the maple branches stirred outside. When did that change? I don't know. Maybe it didn't. Maybe I got tired. It was not a satisfying answer. Marriage contains many of those. The next morning, a sheet of paper appeared on the refrigerator. Colin had drawn a neat schedule with blocks shaded in blue. 2 calls Monday, 3 Tuesday. A presentation Thursday from 10 to 11, marked important in letters large enough to concern the mailman. Beneath it, he had written, quiet appreciated only during blue, normal household operations otherwise. I read the last sentence twice. Operations, I said. Marianne buttered toast. He's trying. He turned us into a facility. He said normal, he spelled it out. He knows his audience. Colin came in wearing a sweater and carrying his laptop. Is the schedule okay? He asked. What happens in the unshaded areas? I said. You can run heavy machinery. I've been meaning to take up welding. Just wear goggles. He poured coffee, kissed Marianne on the side of the head, and went into the dining room. For 3 days, it worked. That was almost disappointing. Outside the blue blocks, I made noise with unnecessary innocence. I emptied the dishwasher 1 plate at a time. I listened to baseball commentary on the radio. I called Paul and let him complain on speakerphone about physical therapy. Colin endured all of it. On Wednesday afternoon, he came into the garage while I was cleaning the mower. Are you mad at that thing? He asked. I'm cleaning it. You've been cleaning the same wheel for 10 minutes. It was dirty. He leaned against the workbench. I can work at a shared office downtown a couple days a week, he said. A guy on my team uses one. That might help. It's not free. I assume buildings still cost money. I'm not asking you to pay for it. I didn't say you were. You made a face. I have one face. You have an entire department. I wiped the mower wheel. He looked toward the house. Mom said the dining room is fine. The dining room is fine for some calls. She said all of them. Then why are you asking me? I'm not asking. I'm telling you I have another option. That sounds good. It would be $200 a month. You mentioned money. I'm aware. I waited. He picked up a screwdriver from the bench, turned it in his hand, and set it down in a different place. I'm trying to reduce the friction, he said. That sounds like work language. It means I don't want to fight with you. We're not fighting, right? We're having coffee during normal household operations. I put the rag down. I was angry. No kidding. I'm still angry. I know. That doesn't mean I want you out on the street. I have a job. You were the one who brought up losing it. I shouldn't have. Are you worried? I told you, the division's changing. And the shared office? He shrugged. I'll think about it. I should have stopped there. Instead, I said, thinking can get expensive. He looked at me. I thought of the mattress waiting a year in our garage. That's not what I meant, I said. It's exactly what you meant. He walked out. I resumed cleaning the wheel. It was already spotless. That evening, Marianne discovered her car was almost out of gas. She stood in the mudroom holding the keys while Colin searched the hall table for his wallet. I put 20 in it, he said. The light is on. It came on pulling into the neighborhood. You drove to Brighton and back. That is generally how borrowing a car works. I said I'd fill it tomorrow. I need it tonight. Where are you going? Book group? I'll fill it now. I'm already late. I can drive you, I said. They both looked at me. What? I asked. Marianne put on her coat. I can buy gas. I know you can. Then why did you offer? Because you said you were late. I said the car was empty. It's not empty, Colin said. You have at least 30 miles. Marianne turned toward him. That is not better. I said, I'm sorry. You said you would do it tomorrow. I was going to apologize and do it tomorrow. That's 2 separate things. He took the keys from her hand. I'll fill it. I need the car. I'll be 10 minutes. I will be 20 minutes late. I didn't know you were going out. The gas tank does not require my evening schedule. He opened his mouth, then closed it. I enjoyed that more than I should have. Marianne saw me enjoying it. You, she said, pointing at me, say nothing. I raised both hands. Colin drove to the gas station. Marianne stood in the kitchen wearing her coat and staring at the refrigerator schedule. He only borrowed it because he went to see Elena, she said. I didn't ask. You didn't have to. He should have filled it. Yes. You can be angry about that even if he saw Elena. I am. Good. Stop looking pleased. I'm not pleased. You are practically glowing. The back door opened. Colin had returned in 7 minutes. The car still could not have been full. I used the station on Maple, he said, handing her the keys. It's at half. I'll fill the rest tomorrow. Marianne took the keys. Thank you. He looked ready to say more. She walked past him and left. I turned toward the stove. Don't, Colin said. I didn't say anything. You're about to. I'm making soup. You're standing in front of a cold stove. I'm preparing mentally. He sat at the kitchen table. She won't talk to me, he said. Elena? No, the woman at the gas station. I opened the refrigerator and took out the leftover pasta. What happened? She thinks I'm trying to force her into deciding. Are you? I asked if she's willing to come to counseling. And? She said counseling isn't a shortcut back into the house. What did you say? I said, I know that. Do you? He pushed away from the table. This is why I don't talk to you. You started the conversation. I was explaining the gas. The gas is simpler. You love simple things. He went upstairs. When Marianne returned from book group, I had put the pasta in the oven. Colin did not come down to eat. She left a plate covered on the stove. Before bed, it was gone. At 12:20, Colin emerged smiling. We got it, he said. Marianne hugged him before he had finished the sentence. The regional contract? He nodded. They gave us a verbal yes. Paperwork next week, but Nina said it's ours. That's wonderful, she said. She looked toward me. It is, I said. Congratulations. Colin held out his hand. I took it, but he pulled me into a hug instead. For one bright minute, the house relaxed. We opened a bottle of champagne left from New Year's. Marianne found cheese and crackers. Colin described the presentation in enough detail that I understood perhaps a third of it. He had handled a difficult question from an executive named Walter. Nina had messaged him afterward with 3 exclamation points. The contract would not guarantee anything about the reorganization, but it made his team harder to ignore. You did good, I said. He looked down at his glass. Thanks. Then he looked toward the window. I guess the hostage room worked. It must have been the disappointed ghosts, I said. Marianne laughed. Colin did too. He did not ask to move the desk. That mattered. Later, I found a small bottle of matching stain on the workbench in the garage. Colin had bought it for the chair. The receipt remained in the bag, along with a pack of fine sandpaper and a brush too wide for the job. I took the bottle inside and showed Marianne. He asked me this morning, she said. What did you say? That I wanted to think about it. He bought it anyway. He said it would be there if I decided yes. That's not asking. It's not fixing it either. I returned the stain to the bag. What do you want to do? I asked. She looked at the damaged foot. I don't know. It could be touched up. I can see that. Or refinished. Ray, I'm listing options. I know the options. Then what are you thinking about? She crouched beside the chair. My mother hated this color, she said. I blinked. What? The green. She said it looked like wet moss. I thought she liked it. She told you she liked it. Why? Because you were so proud of finding the upholsterer. That sounded like her mother. Dolores had believed honesty was important, unless it interfered with politeness. Marianne smiled faintly. I chose the green because she hated it. That's why? Partly. I thought you said brown was giving up. It was. So the green was revenge. The green was choosing. She ran one finger over the scrape. I don't want Colin to cover this yet, she said. Why? Because he keeps seeing the damage as the problem. And you don't? I think the problem is how long it took him to see it. The doorbell rang. Colin came down the stairs as I crossed the hall. He had changed into jeans and a clean shirt, suddenly attentive in a way that made me look through the narrow window before opening the door. Elena stood on the porch. She held 3 flattened moving boxes under one arm. When she saw Colin behind me, she did not smile. I'm here for the things you said I threw away, she said. Colin stepped around me so quickly that his shoulder struck the doorframe. What things? Elena shifted the flattened boxes beneath her arm. The cookbooks, my record albums, the frame map from the study. You said you didn't want the map. I said I didn't want it above the fireplace. You told me to take whatever was mine. The cookbooks were my mother's. I know that. Then we're off to a strong start. She looked past him at Marianne, who had come into the hall. Hi, Mare. Hello, sweetheart. Marianne hugged her. Elena accepted the embrace stiffly at first, then closed her eyes and held on for an extra second. She looked thinner than the last time I had seen her, not fragile, sharper. Her dark hair was cut above her shoulders, and she wore a red wool coat Colin once said made her look like she was running for office. He had meant it as a compliment until Elena asked why looking competent required an election. "Come in," I said. "I'm not staying. You drove 40 minutes. I drove 22. Colin told us the traffic near you was terrible. It is when he's late." Colin took the flattened boxes from her. "The stuff is in the garage," he said. "I didn't say you threw it away. You texted me that if I couldn't find it, I must have gotten rid of it. I said maybe. You said, you probably tossed it during your purge." That was a joke. It had no joke-shaped qualities. She removed her gloves one finger at a time. Colin opened the mudroom door. "I packed quickly," he said. "Some things got mixed together, which is what I said 3 weeks ago. I had calls, Dad was away. I was going to look this weekend. And then your mother looked." Marianne's face changed. "You called her?" Colin asked. "I called to wish her a happy birthday," Elena said. "Your mother asked if I had found my cookbooks. She knew they were here because she had stacked the boxes herself." Colin looked at Marianne. "You didn't tell me you talked to her." "I did not realize I needed clearance." "I didn't say that." "You sounded surprised." "I am surprised." Elena glanced toward the living room, where the green chair stood in the afternoon light. "I like it there," she said. Marianne followed her gaze. "So do I." Colin opened the mudroom door wider. "Can we just get the boxes?" We followed him into the garage, all 4 of us, though no one had invited Ray Mercer's moving committee to convene. The boxes were behind the lawnmower. I had noticed them when I moved the chair but had not read the labels. Colin pulled away 2 plastic tubs and uncovered a stack of 5 cartons. "Elena," Books was written across the top one in thick black marker. Elena looked at the label, then at him. "I didn't label it." "No," she said. "I did." He put the flattened boxes on the workbench. "Fine, you were right. This is not about being right. It usually is. To you." Marianne touched the top carton. "These are heavy. Ray, bring the hand truck." I reached for it. "No," Elena said. "I can carry them." "You can carry them with help," Marianne replied. Colin slid his hands under the first box. "I've got it." Elena did not thank him. She picked up another and headed toward the driveway. We carried the boxes to her car. The frame map was wrapped in a blanket in the back of the garage. Colin had to move the stain he bought for the chair before he could reach it. Elena noticed the bottle. "What happened?" "Nothing," Colin said. "Somebody scraped the foot of my chair," Marianne said. "I bought stain." "He bought stain," I confirmed. Elena looked from the bottle to Colin. "You moved the green chair. I needed the window." "For work," Marianne added. The tone was mild. That made Colin turn toward her. "And I put it back. After 11, I said, 'Dad.'" "What? Can we get through one interaction without you submitting evidence?" Elena gave a short, humorless laugh. Colin faced her. "Don't." "I didn't say anything. You didn't have to." The phrase had been circling our family for days. Nobody had to ask. Nobody had to say. Nobody had to look before dragging something that belonged to someone else. Elena opened her car and lowered the back seats. Colin loaded the first box. "The map won't fit flat." "It will if the frame comes off. It's professionally mounted." "I know. I paid for it. I paid half. You reimbursed me 9 months later." He stepped back from the car. "Do you want the map or an audit? I want to stop having every fact treated like an accusation. You bring up the reimbursement, then say I'm defensive. You said you paid half as though we stood at the register together. Does the timing change who owns it? No. It changes what it was like to be married to you." The garage went still. Marianne took my arm. She meant for us to leave. I knew that. I also knew moving past Elena would require squeezing between the workbench and the map, which felt like making a physical announcement. Colin looked at the driveway. "We don't need to do this here. I agree. You're the one who started. I came for boxes. You always do that." "Do what? Say something loaded, then pretend I made it emotional." Elena leaned against the open car door. "Fine. Let's not make it emotional. Thursday at 6, Dr. Abrams has an opening. I offered it to you. You said you would go only if I began by admitting that asking you to leave was an overreaction." Marianne's grip tightened on my sleeve. Colin looked at her, not Elena. "That isn't exactly what I said." "What did you say?" I asked. "I said counseling won't work if she goes in, assuming I'm the entire problem." Elena's mouth opened, but Marianne spoke first. You told us she wasn't ready. I said she wasn't ready to have a real conversation. You said she would not come to counseling. I said she wouldn't come in good faith. No, Elena said. You told me you would not sit in a room where you were outnumbered. A therapist is supposed to be neutral. He is. That's why you don't like him. Colin put both hands on his hips. This is unbelievable. What is? Marianne asked. That you're all standing here acting like I lied. Did you? I said. He swung toward me. I summarized a private conversation. You changed the subject and the verb. Thank you, Dad. Very helpful. Elena closed her eyes. This is why I asked for space. You asked me to leave our house. For a month. And where was I supposed to go? Here, apparently. Colin looked toward Marianne again. Mom told me I could stay as long as I needed. I said there was no rush during the first week. You said you liked having me here. I did. You said the house felt less empty. I said it was nice hearing someone on the stairs. You said Dad was gone all the time. I felt something inside me go very quiet. Marianne's face colored. I said he volunteers on Tuesdays and plays cards twice a month. You said you got lonely. I said retirement had been an adjustment. Elena stared at Colin. What? He said. You told me they asked you to stay because your mother was lonely. I didn't say asked. You said, they need me here right now. They do. No, Marianne said. Colin blinked. It was not loud. It did not need to be. Marianne released my arm and stepped toward him. I love having you near me, she said. I love knowing whether you ate. I love hearing you laugh in the next room. I do not need you to live here. His face emptied. That's not what you've been saying. I have said many things because I did not want you to feel unwanted. So now I'm unwanted. No. That is not the opposite. It sounds like the opposite. Elena looked away. I realized she had heard this conversation before in other forms. Marianne stayed where she was. You turn every boundary into abandonment, she said. Then everyone has to prove they love you by removing it. His eyes hardened. Is that Dad talking? No. Because he comes home, sees one scratch, and suddenly I'm some kind of parasite. I did not call you that, I said. You didn't have to. Elena pushed the last box farther into her car. I should go. Colin rounded on her. Of course. Yes, of course. Because this is your parents' garage, and somehow we're reenacting our marriage in it. You brought it here. I came from my mother's cookbooks. You came ready? Ready for what? To make me look dishonest. I came with empty boxes, Colin. She picked up the frame map. I moved to help, then stopped. She looked at me. Please, she said. We took opposite ends and slid it carefully into the car. It fit diagonally above the boxes. When I straightened, Colin was standing near the workbench, turning the bottle of stain in his hands. Elena closed the hatch. Thursday at 6 is still available, she said. He stared at the label on the bottle. Will you admit asking me to leave made everything worse? I will admit it hurt you. That isn't the same. No. Then what's the point? The point is to tell the truth in the same room. He laughed once. Your truth. That is not how rooms work. She put on her gloves. Marianne followed her to the driveway and hugged her again. This time, Elena held her tightly. I'm sorry, Elena whispered. For what? For letting you think I wouldn't try. Marianne stepped back. You don't owe me your marriage. Colin heard that. Elena looked at him. Something passed over her face. Love, anger, fatigue, all using the same doorway. I know, she said. She got into the car and drove away. The three of us stood in the open garage. Colin placed the stain on the workbench. Congratulations, he said to me. For what? You got what you wanted. I didn't invite her. No, you just turned the house into a courtroom so she'd feel comfortable presenting her case. Stop, Marianne said. He looked at her. You took her side. I did not. You said you don't need me here. That is not a side. It was to her. You told her I asked you to stay. I said you liked having me here. You told her we needed you. You did. Marianne's face crumpled for 1 second, then steadied. I wanted you, she said. I wanted you so badly, I kept making it easier for you not to leave. That is not the same as needing you. Colin walked past us into the house. The mudroom door slammed. I reached for Marianne. She stepped away. Don't, she said. I wasn't going to say anything. I know. You were going to hold me while feeling vindicated. That's not fair. No. She looked toward the kitchen, where Colin's footsteps crossed above us. but it may still be true. She went inside. I remained in the garage beside the mower, the clean tools, and the little bottle of stain nobody had permission to open. I lowered the garage door and turned off the light. Inside, the house had gone unnaturally quiet. Colin's desk glowed in the dining room, both monitors awake, one displaying a spreadsheet and the other a photograph of a mountain he had never climbed. His half-full champagne glass remained beside the keyboard. Mary Ann's chair faced the window. I stood behind it, then caught myself touching the damaged foot with the toe of my shoe, as if testing whether the evidence was still there. Upstairs, a door closed. I waited for another slam. None came. Mary Ann was in our bedroom changing out of her clothes. She folded her sweater with great concentration and placed it in the drawer. "Do you want to talk?" "No." "I do. I'm aware." I sat on the edge of the bed. Colin lied to us. Yes. He lied to Elena about us. Yes. You knew something was wrong. I knew his version was incomplete. You didn't know how incomplete. She shut the drawer. "Is there a purpose to this inventory? I'm not trying to be vindicated. You should tell your face." "I can't help my face. You certainly use it a lot for a helpless thing." She took off her watch and put it on the dresser. "You think I enjoyed that?" I asked. "I think part of you did." "That is not fair. You keep saying that as though fairness is the highest form of truth. What do you want me to say? That I was glad Elena proved he was lying? Were you?" I looked down at my hands. There had been a moment in the garage when Elena repeated Colin's text, and I felt relief. Not because my son was dishonest, because I was right to distrust him. The difference was important to me, and probably invisible to everyone else. "Yes," I said, "for a second." Mary Ann sat in the chair near the dresser. "I was too," she said. I looked up. "I was glad she said it," Mary Ann continued. "I was glad someone else made him hear it." Then I saw his face. He needed to hear it. That doesn't mean I wanted to be standing there when he did. He put us there. We followed him into the garage. You told me to get the hand truck. I know. She covered her eyes with both hands. "I don't know how to do this," she said. I moved toward her. "Stay there." I stayed on the bed. She lowered her hands. "You asked me to be direct. Yes? Then listen without taking over." I nodded. "You came home and saw that chair in the garage, and suddenly you became brave." I was angry. "You have been angry with Colin before. Not like this." "No. Because this time, you could stand beside something damaged and point to the scrape. What is wrong with that? What's wrong is that you only become brave when somebody else looks bad." I stared at her. "That isn't true. When Colin wrecked Jim Keller's car, I wanted him to spend the summer paying for the repairs. You called the body shop before breakfast. He needed the car for work. He needed consequences. He paid me back, because I put the envelope in front of him every month. I remembered the white envelopes. I remembered telling Mary Ann she was turning money into a ritual of shame. When he quit the hospital sales job," she continued, "I wanted him to tell the landlord he was breaking the lease. You called the landlord. He was in no condition to negotiate. He was always in exactly the condition required for you to step in. I was trying to keep him from ruining his life. You were trying to keep him from being angry at you. The room seemed smaller. "That's not fair," I said again, and hated the sentence as soon as it left me. Mary Ann leaned back. "You gotta be the calm parent because I was the one saying no. Then when he hated the no, you explained me to him. You softened it. You found a compromise. You made sure he knew I loved him. He needed to know. And I needed you to stand beside me before the damage was visible." I looked toward the bedroom door. I thought I was standing beside you. You were standing between us. For years I had told myself Mary Ann and Colin were too much alike, both quick to feel, quick to speak, quick to hear rejection in ordinary sentences. I had been the translator, the one who told Colin his mother was worried, not angry, the one who told Mary Ann our son was frightened, not selfish. I had considered translation an act of love. It had also kept both of them dependent on me and saved me from choosing a side until the safer side was obvious. "I'm sorry," I said. Mary Ann's face did not soften. "For which part?" "All of it. That's not an apology. That's a blanket. I don't know how to separate 30 years while sitting on the bed. Start with today. I'm sorry I made your chair into an argument you had to manage." She waited. "I'm sorry I treated your anger like permission for mine." Her eyes filled. She looked away. "And I'm sorry," I said, That when you finally told Colin you didn't need him here, I was glad before I understood what it cost you. She nodded once. The apology did not repair anything. It simply remained in the room without being rejected. After a while, Marianne said, I let him use me too. You don't have to. Do not rescue me from my portion. I closed my mouth. I like being needed, she said. I know that. When he came downstairs at 2 a.m, I hated that he was hurting, but I loved being the person he came to. When he said the house felt safe, I heard that as proof I had done something right. You had. I made soup for a man who knows how to open a can. Your soup is better. That is not the point. I know. She wiped beneath one eye. I kept thinking if I gave him enough room to fall apart, he would eventually put himself back together. Instead, he filled all the room. The guest room, the bathroom, the garage, the chair. Yes. She looked at me. We cannot keep doing this. The sentence frightened me more than I expected. What do you mean? He needs a date. He has a job. He can find a place. I know. We could give him another 6 weeks. Her expression told me I had failed a test I did not know had begun. 30 days, she said. That's soon. It is a month. His division is reorganizing. His division was reorganizing yesterday. He just got the contract. Then he has good news to take with him. What about Elena? What about her? If they start counseling, he does not get to wait in our dining room until his marriage decides his address. I stood and walked to the window. Outside, the street was empty. Elena's taillights had disappeared long ago. You think 30 days is enough? No. I turned. I think if we choose a date that feels like enough, he will make sure it never arrives. That sounded true. Do we tell him tonight? No. We decide tonight. We tell him when we can say it without using Elena as a weapon. And the chair? This is not about the chair. It started with the chair. No, she said. That is where you noticed. A floorboard creaked in the hall. We both looked at the door. Colin did not knock. We heard him continue down the stairs. A moment later, the back door opened and shut. He left without telling us where he was going. Marianne climbed into bed early. I stayed downstairs. The champagne had gone flat. I poured it into the sink and washed the glasses. Colin's plate from dinner sat beneath foil on the stove, untouched. I put it in the refrigerator. At midnight, the front door opened. Colin came into the kitchen and stopped when he saw me at the table. Where were you? I asked. Driving? For 4 hours? I didn't realize I had a curfew. You don't. Then don't ask like I do. He opened the refrigerator, saw the plate, and took it out. I saved you dinner. I'm not hungry. He put the plate back. Did you see Elena? No. Did you call her? No. He closed the refrigerator. I owe you an apology, I said. He looked suspicious. I should not have questioned you in front of Elena like that. It made the garage feel like a trial. It was a trial. I helped make it one. Thank you. I'm not apologizing for asking. His face hardened again. Of course not. You told us she wouldn't come to counseling. She won't come under reasonable conditions. That is not what you said. You don't know what reasonable means between us. You're right. He folded his arms. I also should not have enjoyed being right about you, I said. That startled him. Did Mom tell you to say that? No. What do you mean, enjoyed it? I wanted your version to be wrong because it made my anger simpler. Your anger about a chair. About the way you treated your mother. She agreed to move it. I know. So, what exactly did I do? You accepted a yes you knew she was afraid to take back. He stared at me. You have no idea what I knew. Then tell me. I knew she wanted to help. She did. I knew the chair mattered less to her than my job. You decided that. She said it. She said she supposed. That is how Mom says yes. No. That is how she avoids saying no. His eyes shifted toward the living room. The chair was barely visible in the dark. Its outline sat squarely in front of the window. Colin rubbed both hands over his face. Can we not do this tonight? Yes. He looked surprised again. Go to bed, I said. What happens tomorrow? Your mother and I need to talk to you. His hands dropped. About what? Tomorrow. Don't do that. Do what? Announce a conversation like a medical test. You said not tonight. I said I don't want to argue tonight. I didn't say I want to lie awake wondering what you two decided. I glanced at the refrigerator. The blue schedule hung beneath a magnet shaped like a lobster. 30 days, I said. He did not move. 30 days for what? To find another place. His expression remained blank long enough that I wondered if I had spoken clearly. Mom agreed to this? It was her idea. That was the wrong answer. I knew it immediately. He looked toward the staircase, then back at me. Of course it was. She wants to tell you herself. But you couldn't wait. You asked, and you made sure I knew whose idea it was. I wasn't blaming her. You were protecting yourself. I stood. This is not about blame. It's not about a desk either, right? No. He smiled, but there was nothing warm in it. You came home, found her chair gone, and now I'm gone. 30 days is not gone. To you. He pulled the schedule off the refrigerator. The lobster magnet dropped to the floor and broke cleanly in two. Neither of us bent to pick it up. Colin folded the paper once, then again, making each crease precise. You're choosing a chair over your son, he said. I looked through the doorway at the dark green shape beside the window. No, I said. We are choosing to remain your parents instead of becoming the place where you never have to leave. He set the folded schedule on the counter. You should put that on a greeting card. Then he went upstairs, leaving the two broken halves of the lobster between us. I picked up the lobster after he left. The magnet had come from a seafood place in Maine, where Mary Ann and I once spent an anniversary eating chowder while rain hit the windows sideways. It had held grocery lists, photographs, appointment cards, and one note from Colin that said, "Buy better coffee." I fitted the halves together. The crack ran straight through the lobster's painted smile. Mary Ann came into the kitchen wearing her robe. What happened? Colin knocked it down. She saw the folded schedule. You told him, he asked. So you told him? Yes. Her gaze moved from the schedule to my face. Did you tell him we decided together? I told him it was your idea. You did what? He asked if you agreed. That is not the same question. I said you wanted to tell him yourself. After you told him, he was standing here thinking we were going to throw him out without warning, and you made sure he knew I was the one throwing. I did not. That is exactly what you did. I set the broken magnet on the counter. I was trying not to speak for you. No. You were trying not to be the bad parent. The words were almost identical to what she had said upstairs. Apparently 30 years of habits could survive an apology by several hours. I handled it badly. You handled it the way you always do. You delivered the decision, then pointed toward me when it hurt. He asked. You keep saying that as though questions remove your choices. I looked toward the stairs. Do you want me to wake him up and correct it? No. Good, because that would be insane. I want you to stop behaving as though your only options are fixing everything or making jokes. I put the two lobster pieces in the junk drawer. What should I have said? That we decided he needs to leave. We did. Then say that. I will. Not your mother and I. Not, it was her idea. Say you want it too. I felt the resistance before I understood it. 30 days seemed severe when I imagined Colin packing. It seemed necessary when I saw Mary Ann's chair in the garage. Both were true, but one made me righteous and the other made me responsible. I want it too, I said. Mary Ann nodded. Then we tell him together. We did not sleep much. At 7, we heard Colin shower. At 7:30, he came downstairs dressed for work, carrying his laptop bag and the ring light. He had folded the ring light flat under one arm. Where are you going? Mary Ann asked. Shared office downtown. You joined? I'm trying it. Do you want breakfast? No, we need to talk. I have a call at 8:30. It will take 5 minutes, I said. He checked his watch. 4. We sat at the kitchen table. Colin kept his coat on and his laptop bag across his knees. Mary Ann began. Your father and I decided together that 30 days is a reasonable deadline. Colin looked at me. Is that true? Yes. You want me gone. I want you to find a place where your life can be yours again. That sounds expensive. I want our life to be ours too. His eyes moved between us. Was it 30 days before Elena showed up? It was becoming clear before Elena showed up, Mary Ann said. Yesterday made it clearer, so I'm being punished for what she said. No. For embarrassing you? No. For moving the chair? No. Then why now? Because 6 weeks became 4 months, I said. Because every inconvenience here becomes permanent if nobody puts a date on it. His jaw tightened. We will help you look, Mary Ann said. We will help you pack. You can come for dinner. You can call at 2 in the morning if you need us. But I can't sleep here. After 30 days, no. What if I haven't found something? You will, I said. You don't know that. You have income, you have colleagues, you have options. You have no idea what rent costs. I can learn. I don't need you to learn. Then find it without me. Marianne put her hand flat on the table. We are offering help, not a debate about whether the date exists. Colin looked at her hand. Beth says this is ridiculous. The name surprised me. You called your sister? I asked. She called me. At midnight, at 6 this morning. Beth does not voluntarily call anyone at 6 in the morning, Marianne said. I texted her. What did you tell her? The truth? That we gave you 30 days? I asked. That Dad came home, had a fit about a chair, and convinced you I was taking advantage of you. I did not have a fit. You sat in the chair during my presentation. It was in the kitchen. Gentlemen, Marianne said. Colin checked his watch. I have to go. Call Beth back, Marianne said. Tell her the whole conversation. She knows enough. Then invite her for dinner. Why? Because I have not seen her in 3 weeks. Colin stood. I wonder why. He left with the ring light beneath his arm. Beth arrived that evening carrying takeout from a Thai restaurant and the expression she normally reserved for delayed flights. She was 4 years older than Colin and had inherited neither my height nor Marianne's patience. She wore her silver-streaked hair cut close and worked in a medical billing office where, according to her, everyone lied in codes. I brought food because Mom said Dad might cook, she said. I can cook. You heat with conviction. She hugged me, then Marianne. Colin remained in the dining room, pretending to work. Beth set containers across the kitchen counter. Come eat, she called. I'm not hungry. You called me at 6:14 in the morning. You're eating noodles. He came in. The first 10 minutes went well. Beth complained about a coworker who microwaved fish. Marianne asked about her apartment's leaking window. I told everyone Paul had graduated from a walker to a cane and become more dangerous. Then Beth put down her fork. 30 days is reasonable. Colin stared at her. You said Dad was overreacting. I said if he threw you out over a chair, he was overreacting. He did not throw you out, and it is not over a chair. You talked to them. I talked to Mom. Of course. You gave me half a story before sunrise. It's the same story. No, in your version, they ordered a moving truck while you were on a work call. I said 30 days. You said Dad gave Mom an ultimatum. I turned toward Colin. What ultimatum? He said the chair or me. I have never said that. You made it clear. Beth closed her eyes. Colin, this is exhausting. He laughed. Then leave. I've been doing that. The table went quiet. Marianne looked at her. What does that mean? Beth rubbed one thumb along the edge of her napkin. It means I haven't been coming over because every visit becomes an emergency meeting about Colin. That's not true, Colin said. Thanksgiving was about your separation. My separation happened the week before. Christmas was about whether Elena would come. That wasn't my decision. Dad's retirement dinner became the night you announced you hated your job. I was asked how work was. You spoke for 40 minutes. Sorry for answering honestly. That's what I mean. Everything is technically defensible. You never do one enormous, unforgivable thing. You do 1,000 things everybody feels petty mentioning. Colin pushed his chair back. Glad I called. So am I, Beth said, because you wanted me to tell them they were cruel. They're not. You don't know what it's like here? No, because I haven't been invited into a room that wasn't your office. Beth, Marianne said softly. No. He called me because he wanted reinforcement. I love him, but I'm not ammunition. Colin looked at her. Would you let me stay with you? Beth's face changed. She had not expected the question. No, she said. He gave a bitter nod. My place is small, she continued, and I don't want to live with you. At least you're honest. I will spend Sunday looking at apartments with you. I don't need help. Then I'll sleep late. He stood and carried his food upstairs. Beth watched him go. I could have said that better. You could have, Marianne said. Would it have changed the answer? No. Beth looked at me. And you. What did I do? You always do that. Do what? Sit very still while someone else says the hard thing, then look relieved. Marianne almost smiled. I have recently received feedback on this, I said. Good. Process it. She picked up her fork. Sunday morning, Colin came downstairs holding 3 apartment listings. He did not mention Beth's offer. At 11, her car pulled into the driveway. He got his coat. They were gone 4 hours. When they returned, Beth came inside alone. "He hates all of them," she said. "Were they bad?" Marianne asked. "One was bad, one was fine. One had a kitchen smaller than his desk, which I considered educational. Where is he?" "Sitting in my car because he thinks I betrayed him by liking the second one." I looked through the window. Colin stared straight ahead in the passenger seat. "Give him a minute," Beth said. He took 12. The listings accumulated beside his laptop. A 1-bedroom near the highway, a studio above a dry cleaner, a room in a townhouse owned by a divorced coworker named Jared, with a private bathroom and enough space for the black desk if Colin removed one of its extension panels. He rejected each one differently. The highway was too loud. The studio smelled like chemicals. Jared was still processing his situation, which Colin said as if emotional processing were contagious. He worked downtown more often. The ring light began traveling in his car. He bought coffee on the way, instead of drinking ours. He stopped cooking. Marianne held herself together during the day. At night, she asked whether 30 days had been too little, whether we should have said 45, whether Jared seemed stable. I said the date remained. Sometimes I believe myself. Colin attended the Thursday counseling session. I knew because he came home at 8, went straight upstairs, and did not speak to us until Saturday. Elena did not call. The living room stayed quiet. Marianne read in her chair every morning, though I noticed she turned fewer pages. The little bottle of stain remained unopened in the garage. The calendar moved forward and crossed out squares. 5 days remained, then 4. With 3 days left, Colin said Jared had agreed to clear the room. "That sounds promising," Marianne said. "It's not final." "What's missing?" I asked. "He wants first month's rent." "That is traditional." Colin ignored me. The next morning, I drove Marianne to the library because her car was being serviced. We stopped for coffee and stayed longer than planned. She bought a used mystery novel from the sale cart. I found a book about cabinet repair, picked it up, and put it back. When we came home, Colin's car was in the driveway. I carried Marianne's books through the mudroom. She walked ahead of me into the kitchen and stopped so suddenly I nearly ran into her. Across the living room, the black desk stood beside the window. The ring light was on. Marianne's chair was gone. For 1 second, neither of us spoke. Through the glass door, Colin sat behind the monitors in a dark jacket, smiling into the ring light. A row of small faces filled one screen. Walter was among them. I recognized his silver hair from the presentation. Marianne set her library books on the kitchen counter. "Where is it?" she asked. "I'll look." She caught my sleeve. "No." He moved it. "I can see that. It may be in the garage. I know where it probably is." "Then what are we waiting for?" For him to finish. Her voice was low and steady. I looked at the clock. 10:42. Nothing on the refrigerator told us how long the meeting would last. The schedule still sat folded on the counter where Colin had left it weeks before. Nobody had thrown it away. Marianne removed her coat. In the living room, Colin nodded at something Walter said. His eyes flicked toward us. For less than a second, the smile slipped. Then it returned. He had known exactly what we would see when we came home. I walked through the mudroom and opened the garage. The chair stood upright beside the workbench. He had lifted it this time. No new scrape marked the wood. Her little table sat beside it, with her reading glasses and the mystery novel she had been halfway through. The improvement made me angrier. He had learned how to move her more carefully. I went back to the kitchen. "It's upright," I said. Marianne closed her eyes. "That's something." "No, it isn't." "I know. Do you?" "Yes." She looked through the glass door. Colin was speaking now, one hand raised in a calm, measured gesture. "I don't want you going in there," she said. "I won't. I mean it. I said I won't. And when he finishes, I talk first." "Okay. If I ask you a question, answer it. Don't make me carry the whole thing because you're proving you can stay quiet. I understand. Do you?" I'm beginning to resent that question. Good. Maybe we're making progress. We sat at the kitchen table. At 10:55, Colin's meeting continued. At 11:10, Marianne opened her new library book and stared at the first page. At 11:23, I made coffee without asking permission. The glass door was closed, but the kettle was loud enough that Colin glanced toward us. I did not turn it off. Neither did Marianne. At 11:40, the meeting ended. Colin immediately removed his headset and came into the kitchen. Before you say anything, I can explain. Marianne closed the book. Is there an explanation in which you did not move my chair after promising you wouldn't? I never promised I wouldn't move it. You agreed the living room would remain a living room. For 3 hours, Mom, you moved my table. I needed the background clear. You put my reading glasses in the garage. I put everything together so nothing would get lost. Everything? He flinched. This is the final review on the regional contract, he said. Walter added 3 executives this morning. I found out at 8. The shared office conference rooms were booked, and the dining room camera angle looks terrible when there are that many people. So, you moved the desk. I was going to put it back before you came home. You knew when we would be home? I thought the library took longer. Marianne stared at him. He heard it. That came out wrong. No, she said. I think it came out exactly right. I didn't mean I was hiding it. You moved my chair while I was gone and planned to move it back before I returned. What would you call that? A temporary solution. For whom? He looked at me. I said nothing. Dad, your mother asked you a question. I heard her. Then answer. He faced Marianne again. For me, he said, it was a solution for me. Thank you. His shoulders lowered slightly as if honesty had earned him a softer next question. Marianne stood. When is your next call? 1. How long? An hour, maybe 90 minutes. She walked into the living room. Mom, she reached behind his monitor and switched off the ring light. The white circle vanished from his face. What are you doing? The desk needs to be out of this room by 5. I just told you I have another call. You can take it in the dining room. I can't rebuild the setup in an hour. You built it here in the time we were at the library. That's different. How? I was under pressure. You are under pressure now. His mouth tightened. This meeting is with Walter. I know. I saw him. The contract could still change. I hope it doesn't. You know what this means for me. Yes. Then why would you do this today? Marianne put one hand on the back of his desk chair. I am not doing anything to your meeting. I am telling you where you can have it. You're punishing me. No, you picked the one day it could hurt my job. I did not move the desk today. He turned toward me again. Are you going to stand there? I am standing here. You're enjoying this. No, you got your big moment. Mom finally said, no, this is not my moment. Then tell her the desk can stay until 2. Marianne looked at me. The old invitation was there. Translate, soften. Find the compromise that let everybody leave with the version of themselves they preferred. What do you want? She asked me. Colin answered before I could. He wants me gone. I asked your father. I took a breath. I want the desk out now, I said. I'm willing to accept 5. Colin stared at me. And I want you to leave by the date we agreed on, I continued. Not because Marianne wants it, because I do. You have 3 days, Marianne said. If you choose to use them. He laughed once. What does that mean? It means we are not throwing you into the driveway today. You can work in the dining room. You can finish packing. We will help if you ask. I asked to use the room for 90 minutes. No, Marianne said. The words seemed to strike him physically. He walked to the window and looked out at the maple. You know Jared wants the rent before I move in. I assumed, I said. I don't get paid until Friday. We can lend you the 3 days, Marianne said. You can pay us Friday. I glanced at her, but she kept her eyes on Colin. That's not the point, he said. What is the point? She asked. The point is that I should not have to borrow money to leave my parents' house because they suddenly decided I'm ruining their lives. We did not say that. You didn't have to. There it is again, I said. He turned. What? You hear what people don't say when it helps you. You ignore what they do say when it doesn't. His eyes sharpened. You've been saving that. No. It sounded polished. Not everything is a presentation. To you, it isn't. Marianne walked past him and put her hand on the ring light. Do not touch that, he said. She stopped. The room went very still. Colin's face changed immediately. I mean, it's fragile. Marianne removed her hand. It will be safer in the dining room. Mom, she looked directly at him. You didn't move that chair because there was nowhere else to work. You moved it because you knew I would disappear before you had to be uncomfortable. He looked at the empty patch where the chair had been. You said it was only furniture. I said I didn't want a war. Dad made it one. No. Your father made mistakes. So did I. But you keep trying to find the person who made you do this. I was trying to protect my job. You are always protecting something important enough to make everyone else wait. That job is why I can move out. Then move your desk to the dining room and protect it. His face reddened. You really are choosing that chair. I am choosing the woman who sits in it. You are that woman. Yes, she said. I am. The simplicity of it left him nowhere to turn. He unplugged the ring light. He did not wait until 5. The monitors came down first. He carried them into the dining room, one beneath each arm. The laptop followed, then the cables, the whiteboard, the chair, and the power strip. Marianne and I stayed out of his way. When he reached the desk, he tried to maneuver it alone. It caught on the doorway. I stood. Do you want help? No. You'll scrape the trim. Then you'll have something else to point at. He lowered the desk and removed the extension panel. The screws dropped into a ceramic dish Marianne kept on the little table. He dumped them into his pocket and carried the panel outside. By 12:30, the desk stood in the dining room again. At 12:42, Colin began his call. The background was a plain wall. The kitchen remained visible only at the far edge of the frame. He sounded flawless. Marianne retrieved her chair from the garage by herself. She tilted it properly, guiding the brass wheels over the mudroom threshold. I opened doors and moved the kitchen rug without touching the chair. When she reached the living room, she stopped beside the pale rectangle. Help me, she said. I took one side. Together, we settled it into place. She adjusted it 2 inches toward the window, then 1 inch back. She sat during Colin's call. She did not read. She watched the maple and listened to our son explain projected growth from the next room. At 2:15, Colin ended the meeting. At 2:17, a truck pulled into the driveway. Jared came to the door. He was a broad man with tired eyes and a wedding ring mark on his left hand. I had met him once at a company picnic. Ray, he said, sorry, weird day. They happen. Colin came down carrying 2 suitcases. What are you doing? Marianne asked. Leaving. You have 3 days. I heard you. You don't have to go in the middle of the day. Jared has the truck. We said we would help. I don't want help. He and Jared disassembled the desk in silence. The black panels went into the truck bed, wrapped in old moving blankets. The ring light lay on top like a pale wheel. Colin carried out his clothes, his laptop bag, and the plastic tub from the upstairs bathroom. He left the clean laundry in the basket. He left books on the guest room desk. He left 3 boxes in the garage and another 2 stacked in the hall closet. I brought this to his attention. I'll get them. When? Before Friday. Give us a time. He looked at me as if I had become a parking meter. Thursday evening. Good. Marianne stood in the entry with both hands clasped in front of her. Please don't leave angry, she said. How would you like me to leave? Knowing you can come back? To visit? Yes. For dinner? Yes. But not if I need somewhere to sleep. You have somewhere. Because Jared happened to answer his phone. Because you found an option and kept refusing to call it one. He lifted his suitcase. Can we not pretend this is good for me? No, Marianne said. It may be terrible for you. That stopped him. She stepped closer. I am sorry it hurts. I am not sorry you were leaving. His face folded for half a second. He looked like the man who had arrived 4 months earlier, ribs gone, suitcases in hand. I wanted to tell him he could stay the 3 days. I wanted to carry the suitcase back upstairs and say we would try again with better rules. Instead, I opened the front door. Colin walked onto the porch. At the truck, Jared secured the desk with 2 canvas straps. Colin put his suitcase behind the passenger seat. He looked back once. The green chair was visible through the living room window. He climbed into the truck. Marianne stood beside me as they drove away. She did not wave, neither did I. When the truck turned the corner, she went inside. The house was quiet in a different way now, not peaceful, emptied. On the kitchen counter, the folded schedule remained beside the broken magnet. In the garage, Colin's boxes occupied the space where the chair had been. Marianne sat down in the green wingback. I sat across from her. Neither of us said we had won. The first sound was the refrigerator turning on. Then the clock above the mantel ticked. A car passed outside. Somewhere in the neighborhood, a dog barked twice and stopped. All the noises that had disappeared beneath Colin's voice returned, as if they had been waiting politely. Marianne stood. I'm going to make tea. You don't want tea. I want to boil water. I followed her into the kitchen, but did not offer to help. She filled the kettle and switched it on. The hum grew between us. No one muted a headset. No one pointed at a schedule. When the kettle clicked off, Marianne began to cry. She did it silently, which was unlike her. Tears moved down her face while she spooned loose tea into the pot. I took one step toward her. Please, she said. I stopped. Do you want me here? Yes. Do you want me to hold you? No. So I stood beside the table while she cried and made tea badly. She forgot to warm the pot. She poured too soon. The first cup was pale and bitter. We drank it anyway. That night, I turned off the light in the guest room. Colin's folded shirts remained in the laundry basket. 3 coffee cups sat on the old oak desk again. A single dress shoe had been left beneath the bed, toe pointing toward the door. I picked up 1 cup, then I put it back. On Thursday at 6:03, Jared's truck pulled into the driveway. Colin had said evening. He had not said 6, but the precision felt deliberate. Beth arrived 2 minutes later in her own car. You brought supervision? I asked. I brought arms, she said. Some of those boxes are heavy. Colin came inside without knocking, then seemed to realize he no longer lived there. He stopped in the entry. Hi. Marianne was already standing. Hello? They looked at each other for several seconds. I expected her to hug him. I expected him to let her. Neither moved. Your things are where you left them, I said. I know. Of course you know, Beth muttered. He gave her a look. You volunteered. I volunteer at blood drives. This is court-ordered community service. No one ordered you, I said. Mom used punctuation in her text. Marianne almost smiled. We carried the garage boxes first. Colin and Jared loaded them into the truck. Beth brought down the books from the guest room, while I collected cables from the hall closet. Marianne folded the clean shirts again. They're already folded, I said. They were folded by someone angry. Were they? I can tell. She smoothed the collar of a blue shirt and placed it in a suitcase. When Colin came upstairs, he watched her from the doorway. You don't have to do that. I'm nearly finished. I can finish. She stepped away from the suitcase. All right. He looked at the shirts. Then he refolded the one on top. We found the missing dress shoe, 2 phone chargers, a watch beneath the nightstand, and a restaurant receipt Elena had signed months earlier. Colin read the back of the receipt and slipped it into his wallet without explanation. The old oak desk emerged slowly as his possessions disappeared. By the time the room was empty, the little drawer could open again. Colin stood in the center of the carpet. This looks weird. It looked like this before, I said. I know. Beth carried the last box downstairs. At the front door, Colin removed the house key from his ring. You don't have to give that back, Marianne said. His fingers stopped. You said I don't live here. You don't. You are still allowed through the door. Which is it? Both. He held out the key. Marianne did not take it. Keep it, she said, but use it for emergencies, not arrivals. What counts as an emergency? If you have to ask, knock. He put the key back on the ring. In the garage, Jared was tightening a strap across the boxes. Colin picked up the paper bag containing the stain and sandpaper. You still want this here? He asked. Marianne looked at the bag. I don't know. I can return it. Keep the receipt. It was $12. Then live dangerously. He set the bag near the truck, then walked into the living room. We followed. The green chair sat in its patch of afternoon sun. The scrape on the foot looked less raw than it had, though nothing had changed except the light. Colin crouched beside it. This screws out, he said. I know, I replied. He looked at me. Did you tell her? No. Marianne sat on the sofa. What would you do? She asked him. Take the foot off. Sand only the gouge. Match the stain. Seal it. Would you sand the whole foot? No, it won't match the other 3. The bottle may not match either. I can test it underneath. I noticed he said can, not will. Marianne folded her hands. Fix it, she said. He did not move. Are you sure? Yes. He looked at me. Do you have a strap wrench? You shouldn't need one. It's tight. Use the rubber grip in the second drawer. I know where it is. I let him go to the garage alone. He returned with the rubber pad and a folded towel. He tipped the chair carefully onto its back, protecting the fabric. The damaged foot resisted at first. He stopped, reset his grip, and turned slowly until the threaded bolt released. The chair looked lopsided without it. "I'll bring it Sunday," he said. "For dinner?" Marianne asked. "If you want. We want." He put the foot in the paper bag. At the door, he hugged Beth. He shook my hand, which felt absurd, then pulled me into a quick embrace. Marianne waited. He hugged her last. She held him tightly. He did not pull away, but he did not relax either. "Sunday," she said. "Sunday." He left with the damaged foot. For the first few days, every sound in the driveway made Marianne look up. Colin texted when he arrived at Jared's. He texted again when the boxes were inside. He did not say how the room felt, or whether the desk fit. On Friday, Marianne sent him a photograph of a casserole she had made too large for 2 people. He responded with a thumbs up. She stared at the little symbol. "What does that mean?" she asked. "That he saw the casserole." "I know he saw it. He approves of its shape." "Ray." "I don't know." She put the phone face down. Sunday came. Marianne bought mushrooms and garlic because she wanted to make Colin's pasta, though neither of us knew the recipe. I reminded her it had contained lemon. She said that was obvious. We disagreed about whether there had been cream. At 4, she set the table for 3. At 5, she checked her phone. At 5:30, I called him. It went to voicemail. At 6, she put the pasta into bowls. The sauce had separated slightly. She blamed me for suggesting cream. At 6:18, Colin texted, "Can't make it. Sorry, I'll bring the foot this week." Marianne read the message twice. Did he say why? No. Ask him. I'm not asking. You want to know? I want him to tell me. She covered the 3rd bowl and put it in the refrigerator. The distance between wanting and asking remained one of the most crowded places in our family. We ate at the table. The chair in the living room stood on 3 feet and 1 block of wood I had placed beneath the corner. Marianne had refused to sit in it until Colin returned the foot. On Monday, she called him. He did not answer. On Tuesday, he sent a message saying work was busy. He had gone back to the shared office. Jared's room was fine. The desk fit after he removed both extension panels. On Wednesday, Beth called to say Colin had attended another counseling session. "How do you know?" Marianne asked. "He told me." "What did he say?" "That he attended. With Elena?" "I didn't ask." Marianne looked disappointed. "Mom, if he wants you to know, he'll tell you. He tells you. He told me one sentence after I asked if he was alive. I know he's alive. Then we're all making progress." After the call, Marianne said, "He is punishing us. Maybe. You don't think so?" "I think he's angry. I don't know if every silence has a plan. He knew I cooked. He did. He could have called. Yes. Stop agreeing with me like that." "How should I agree? I don't know." The house did not become better because Colin left. It became clearer. Without his needs filling every room, Marianne and I discovered how many conversations we had postponed by discussing him. She resented that I still played cards twice a month. I resented that she said she did not mind until the second game night, when she described my absence as another appointment with people who actually interest you. I offered to quit. She became furious. "You cannot solve my loneliness by making yourself resent me. I don't resent you. You will. What do you want? I want you to go because you enjoy it and come home because you enjoy me." That sounds reasonable. It sounds impossible when I have to explain it. On Tuesday, I went to my volunteer shift. On Thursday, Marianne attended a lecture at the library without asking if I wanted to come. I was offended for several minutes before realizing I was proud of her. We ate dinner together afterward and talked about something other than Colin for almost 20 minutes. The green chair remained on its block. The missing foot became harder to ignore than the scrape had been. Every time I walked through the living room, the chair seemed to lean toward the empty space where Colin's desk had stood. A full week passed without him visiting. Then another. Elena called Marianne once. I did not ask what they discussed. This restraint was noticed, but not praised. Beth came for dinner the following Sunday. She sat in Colin's old place and complained that the portions were too large. "You should invite him again," she said. "He knows he is invited," Marianne replied. "That is not the same. I thought we were trying to make people notice without being told." Beth pointed her fork at me. "That sounds like Dad. It was originally Colin. That is worse." Marianne smiled for real. She invited him by text. Sunday. 6. No argument, no chair discussion, just dinner. Colin responded 3 hours later. "I'll try." "That means no," Marianne said. It means he'll try, I answered. It means he wants credit for maybe. She was right. Sunday at 6, his place remained empty. At 6:20, she put the food away. At 6:40, she took a book into the living room and sat on the sofa rather than the tilted chair. At 7, the doorbell rang. Mary Ann did not move. I opened the door. Colin stood on the porch holding the repaired wooden foot in both hands. The gouge was gone. The finish was smooth, but slightly lighter than the other feet, honest about where the damage had been. His eyes were red. "I missed dinner," he said. "Yes." He looked past me toward his mother. "I know," he said. "That's why I came." I stepped aside. Colin entered but stopped on the mat to wipe his shoes. He still had a key in his pocket. He had rung the bell anyway. Mary Ann closed her book. "You're 40 minutes late. I know. You said you would try. I know. That is not the same as saying you'll come. I know. Stop saying you know." He looked at the wooden foot in his hands. I didn't know what else to say. "Try the truth." He nodded. "The truth is I was here at 5:50. I looked through the front window. "Here where?" "Across the street." Mary Ann's face did not change. "I parked behind the blue SUV," he said. I could see Dad setting the table. "You sat there?" "For 10 minutes. Why didn't you come in?" "Because I thought you'd both be waiting for an apology, and I had one, but it sounded rehearsed, was it?" "Yes." That answer surprised all three of us. Colin turned the chair foot slowly between his palms. "I practiced in the car. Then I got angry that I had to practice. Then I got angry at you for making me feel like I needed the perfect thing to say. We were inside making dinner," I said. "I know that now. You knew it then. Fine, I knew it then too." Mary Ann rested her hands on the closed book. "So, you drove away?" "Yes." "And tonight?" I sat in Jared's driveway for an hour holding this. He lifted the wooden foot slightly. "What changed?" she asked. "I got tired of making the next wrong thing your fault." The room went quiet. Mary Ann looked at the foot. "May I see it?" He carried it to her. She inspected the finish beneath the lamp, rubbing her thumb across the place where the gouge had been. The repair was smooth but visible. Colin had matched the dark stain along the grain, yet the damaged section remained slightly lighter, like a scar after summer. "I tested the color underneath," he said. "The first stain was too red. I exchanged it." "You kept the receipt?" "Yes." "Good. I can redo it if you don't like it." "No. It doesn't match perfectly. I can see that. I could sand the whole foot and blend it." "No." He waited. "I like knowing where it happened," she said. His throat moved. "That seems fair. It isn't a punishment. I didn't say it was. You thought it. I did." She handed the foot back. "The chair is waiting." Colin walked into the living room. The green wingback leaned on its wooden block, one back corner suspended. He put the foot on the little table and removed his coat. I stood in the doorway. "Do you want the rubber grip?" I asked. "No. It may be tight going in." I cleaned the threads. "Good." He looked at me. "Was that too much?" I asked. "A little." I sat on the sofa. Colin folded a towel and placed it beneath the chair before tipping it onto its back. He aligned the threaded bolt and began turning the foot clockwise. After 2 rotations, it caught. "Back it out," I said. He did. "Check the angle." "I know. Sorry." He tried again. This time the thread seated properly. He tightened the foot by hand, then used the rubber grip for the last quarter turn. When he set the chair upright, all 4 feet met the floor. He pressed down on the arms to test it. "It's level." Mary Ann came over and sat. The chair gave a small wooden creak. Colin froze. "It always does that," she said. "It does? You never noticed." "No." She shifted against the cushion. "It feels right." Relief moved across his face, so open and young that I had to look away. "There's pasta," Mary Ann said. "It may be terrible." "It was good the first time," I said. "You put cream in it." "You agreed to the cream?" I said I supposed. Colin winced. Mary Ann caught it. "That was a joke," she said. "It had joke-shaped qualities," he replied. She smiled, but she did not get up. "Heat your dinner," she said, "then come back." He carried the covered bowl from the refrigerator to the microwave. When it began turning, he stood beside the counter rather than sitting. The broken lobster magnet remained in the junk drawer. The folded schedule had disappeared. I did not know whether Marianne had thrown it away or placed it somewhere I would never find. "How's Jared?" I asked. "Divorced. I knew that part. He owns one towel. One? He claims the others are in storage. Maybe they're with Elena's cookbooks." Colin looked at me, then laughed. It was not the polished laugh. It came out unevenly. "Jared's okay," he said. "He gives a lot of advice while eating cereal over the sink." "Do you like the room?" Marianne asked from the living room. "It's small." That was not the question. "I don't hate it. That is not the opposite," I said. Colin looked at me. "You two have been talking too much." The microwave beeped. He carried his bowl into the living room and sat at the far end of the sofa. I moved to the other chair. For several minutes he ate, and we let him. "You missed dinner last week too," Marianne said. He put down his fork. "I did." "Why?" "Same reason, mostly." "You were angry?" "Yes." "At us?" "At everybody. You, Dad, Elena, Jared, because he labels his milk. That seems prudent with a roommate. He writes his name across the carton like I'm going to steal it." "Would you?" I asked. "I used some in my coffee once." "Without asking?" "It was milk." Marianne looked at him. He rubbed his forehead. "Yes, fine." I would apparently annex his dairy. Despite herself, she laughed. Colin did not. "That's what Dr. Abrams said." The name changed the room. "You went?" Marianne asked. 3 times? "With Elena?" "The first time." "What happened?" I asked. He stared into the bowl. "I spent 20 minutes explaining why asking me to leave was an escalation." "Was it?" Marianne asked. "Yes." Also, I'd spent the previous year ignoring everything she tried before escalating. He picked up the fork and set it down again. Elena said she would not come back to counseling if the purpose was deciding when I could move home. She said I was treating therapy like an appeals process. "That sounds like Elena," I said. "It sounded cruel when she said it." "What does it sound like now?" Marianne asked. "Accurate." He looked toward the window. I asked her if she wanted a divorce. She said she didn't know. I kept trying to make her say what that meant for me. What did she say? That not knowing is a complete answer. Marianne nodded. "I hated that," he said. "I imagine you did." "So, Doctor, Abrams asked why I thought every uncertain answer was something the other person was doing to me. I shifted in my chair. That seems aggressive for a second session. It was the third. Still. Colin looked at me. "He asked about you." Then I withdraw my criticism. He asked what happened when I failed growing up. Marianne became very still. "What did you tell him?" I asked. "That you fixed it." The words did not feel like an accusation. That made them harder to deflect. "I did," I said. "Not everything. Enough. You also told me I could do anything. I believed you could." "I know." He leaned forward, forearms against his knees. "That isn't the part I'm blaming you for. What part are you blaming me for? Do I get to?" "Yes." Marianne watched us, but she did not translate. Colin thought for a moment. "When Mom said no, you made it temporary. When a boss said no, you told me to go back with a better argument. When Elena said no, I kept waiting for the part where someone reasonable came in and explained what she really meant. That was not what I intended. I know, and you are 40. I know that too." He looked at his bowl. "I took what you gave me and used it. That part belongs to me." I felt something in my chest loosen and ache at the same time. "I liked fixing things for you," I said. "It made me feel useful, smarter than the problem. You were usually smarter than the problem, not smarter than you." He smiled faintly. "I should have let you fail more. You can still start. That seems promising." He ate another bite of pasta. I looked at Marianne. She had settled into the green chair, one hand resting on the arm above the repaired foot. "I owe you an apology," Colin told her. She waited. He set the bowl on the coffee table. "I moved your chair because I wanted the window. You didn't say yes exactly, and I knew that. I told myself you would stop me if it really mattered." Marianne's fingers tightened against the fabric. "I also told myself my work mattered more because it paid me, and the things you did in that chair looked optional." She swallowed. "I shouldn't have put it in the garage. I shouldn't have moved it again after you told me not to. And I shouldn't have made Dad's reaction the reason I did any of it. Ray's reaction, not Dad, not you two." He had found the edges of his apology and kept them from spreading into everyone else's responsibility. "I am sorry," he said. Marianne looked down at the repaired foot. "I did expect you to know what I meant without making me say it," she replied. I made myself easy to ignore, then resented you for succeeding. That doesn't make it your fault. No, but it makes it my habit." He nodded slowly. "I don't know if I forgive you yet." His face tightened, but he did not argue. "Okay, I love you. I love you too. You cannot live here." "I know." The answer came without injury attached. Marianne stood and took his empty bowl. He rose too. She carried the bowl into the kitchen. Colin watched her go. "Is she all right?" he asked me. "Ask her." He gave me a look. Then he followed her. He washed his bowl. He dried it. He wiped the counter where a drop of sauce had fallen. None of us mentioned that we noticed. When he put on his coat, Marianne hugged him. He held her, but he did not turn the embrace into permission for anything else. "Dinner next Sunday?" she asked. "Yes." "Is that yes or I suppose?" "Yes." "What time?" 6. "If you cannot come, I will call before you cook." "Good." He looked at me. "Can we talk in the garage?" We went out together. The paper bag from the first bottle of Stain sat on the workbench. Colin folded it flat. "Elena is not letting me move back," he said. "I'm sorry. I thought if I went to counseling, she would." "I know." "You knew?" I suspected. "That would have been useful information." "Would you have listened?" "No." He placed the flattened bag in the recycling bin. "I might have ruined it," he said. "Yes." He looked at me, startled. "You could say you don't know." "I don't know?" "You still might have ruined it." "Better." "I am learning." He put both hands into his coat pockets. "I don't know how long I can stay at Jared's. Have you asked him?" He said 3 months, then we reassess. "That sounds clear. It feels like a deadline." "It is." He nodded. I waited for him to ask for help. He did not. I waited for myself to offer money, an apartment search, or the guest room for one last carefully defined week. I did not. At the garage door, he turned. "I thought the desk made me look established," he said. "On calls?" "It did. I liked that nobody could see where I slept." "I understand." "Jared has a water stain on the wall behind my desk. It looks like Florida." "Turn the camera. The outlets are on the wrong side." We both laughed. Then my son went home. He came the next Sunday at 5:54 and knocked. The Sunday after that, he called at noon to say work had changed his schedule. Marianne was disappointed, but she did not cook for him. He came Tuesday instead. Elena did not take him back. She attended counseling with him once more, then asked him to continue alone. He did. What happened between them remained theirs, uncertain and painful. Colin slowly stopped treating uncertainty as an invoice somebody owed him. He stayed at Jared's beyond the first 3 months. The black desk fit without its extension panels. He rented a small room at the shared office twice a week for important calls and used the water-stained wall the rest of the time. Walter apparently survived seeing Florida. Beth began visiting again. Some dinners still became about Colin. When they did, she said so, and he occasionally apologized before dessert. Marianne had the chair reupholstered the following spring. She chose a green brighter than the old fabric, almost the color of new maple leaves. When the upholsterer asked whether she wanted the wooden feet refinished to match, she said no. The repaired place remained slightly lighter. On the morning the chair came home, Colin helped carry it through the living room. He stopped beside the window. "Here?" he asked. Marianne considered the pale rectangle on the floor. 2 inches left. He moved it 2 inches. She sat down with her coffee and opened a crossword book. Colin looked toward the dining room, where his father sat waiting with 3 mugs. "Can I stay for coffee?" he asked. Marianne filled in an answer before looking up. "Yes," she said, "you can."